Hey, what's up? I got nothing. I titled this episode of the Dynasty Grind roster evaluation because that's what Zach Reed was talking about on the podcast. We've recorded it in advance for my podcast next week, and he says now was an important time to evaluate your roster, decide where your team is at, so you can decide the types of moves you're going to be seeking in the offseason. I thought it was a really smart point. And so I just stole it, and that's the title of the video. But welcome back. This is a Dynasty Grind, where we talk about Dynasty every Wednesday at 9:30 until the comments stop rolling or we get too tired and go to bed. So whatever question, comment, or thought you have about Dynasty, please put it in whatever box on the streaming platform you happen to be watching us on. I think there's only two. I don't know why I say whichever. And we'll be happy to chat with you about Dynasty. We do it democratically, so we go in order. So if you've already posted a comment and you haven't heard us talk about it, it's not because we're probably not going to get to it. It's because there's been so many before you. Really appreciate all the conversation we've had this season. Hope you've won a lot of championships. But yeah, we've got an off season now. And as DLF likes to say, there is no off season. So let's get to it. What's up, guys? We got Dynasty Outhouse back with us this week, which is nice. I feel like it's always better. It's always better.
I feel better now that I'm here.
Awesome.
Peter, I'm gonna call you out for being completely wrong. Because if you're borrowing stuff from me in an attempt to sound smart, you're stealing from the dummy.
Exactly.
That's not the way you want to go.
Well, that's how you stay smart. You just steal stuff from everyone else and then ask questions about it. I'm just asking questions. It's
a matter of perspective. Zach calls himself a dummy and he's here, but when I'm down here
an engineer
and steal from a dummy, that still pulls me up.
Exactly, right? It's all about where you're starting from. Speaking of which, we got a lot of comments already, which I really appreciate, everyone. So either we've done something to make everyone mad, or we got a lot of excited people ready to talk off season. Drew Branley was in here at 6:30. Good job, man. I don't think I was even awake at 6:30. Good job. Thoughts on the QB landscape and how you would be approaching it? I have Herbert, Watson, Zach Wilson, and Darnold in a 12-team Superflex league. What would you need to get to move off of Watson if this is your QB room? Anyone got any thoughts on that?
First of all, I was at Wendy's at 6:30. I just felt the need to say that out loud.
Nice.
They have, at least in New Jersey, I don't know if it's a national thing. It's like a Italian mozzarella burger.
It's a national thing.
It's literally just a burger with a mozzarella stick and really bad sauce on it, and it's still freaking delicious. Honestly, the problem is I will never not be biased when talking about Deshaun Watson's value. Give me close to any startable quarterback and I'll be happy with it. But you could probably walk away with 2+ at this point, for Watson, especially now that the season's over for him. And you can push that narrative of he's going to have this whole off season and he's going to come back as that top 5 quarterback.
I'll tell you what, related to that, I had a question in my DMs on Twitter asking if you would trade Tua essentially for the 102 in this rookie class. And I went and checked with Travis May, and he's saying positive things about Stroud and Tua's concussion. Concussions are the only thing I'm worried about there. I'm pretty sure he's a top 12, can be a top 12 quarterback. Yeah. He's like Lawrence, with a concussion problem a little further into his career. And I ended up saying, I don't know enough about the quarterbacks, but I'm thinking I would lean that way. And that's not a Watson question, but it does put you in the same value range. If you can get Tua, would you rather go for the 102 because of, I don't know how concussions work out. Not a doctor, but I do know I'm scared for the person, let alone the player.
Well, this specific team, no. Just because, I guess it depends how you feel. You can have Herbert and still be kind of rebuilding. And you just need to realize that Zach Wilson and Sam Darnold are not going to be your QB2s going in.
Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't be if I think I'm a competing team, I don't think I'd be thrilled going into the season, not to say just because, even if you trade for this, even if you draft one of those quarterbacks, not to say you're going into the season with them as your quarterback, but if we are talking straight line, I don't feel good going into the season with Herbert and rookie. 102 is probably good value. Actually, no, I'm going to say it's not, because I think there was a chance. I'm sorry, I see you're ready to talk, but I haven't been on in a while, so I just need to ramble for a little bit.
You go, boy.
Like in a Superflex draft, there was a very good chance Watson finds his way into the end of the first round, which I don't agree with, but I think is absolutely possible. The 102 is probably going to find its way middle of the second. So if you're going to tell me you get the 102 and like the 201, 102, 202, like if those persons pick just that little bit more on top to make you go through with it, I would probably do that and roll them forward, keep making trades, and then find something else in the 202 to go get Kirk Cousins, something like that. You like that. And then you still kind of have the 102 to do whatever the heck you want with. Honestly, cross your fingers that someone's dumb and take Stroud with the 101, so then you can go to Bijan at the 102. I mean, so absolutely that is, now that like I said, I'm glad I started rambling, because at first I was saying no, but now I'm like, yeah, no, that's not that bad of an idea. I am absolutely happy to move off of Watson. I'm not going to lie, just because, again, yeah. But I make sure you're getting good value for him, because you should.
So do you think that there's going to be a point, maybe now, where Deshaun Watson, I mean, we just said he'll get you Tua. Do you think that there's going to be a point where he gets you Dak, who just thoroughly disappointed last week, has been even though he's been good, people think he's been or Kyler Murray, who has been injured, and also Cliff Kingsbury is gone, so you don't necessarily have that air raid offense. So players that you could take a chance on because we already know they're good, even though their situations are a little nebulous. Or you already mentioned Kirk Cousins. If you could get Kirk Cousins plus, and I think you can get a big plus with Kirk Cousins. But I don't think that there's that much difference between what Kirk Cousins puts up and what Deshaun. I mean, there's going to be some.
Oh no, absolutely. You're probably talking QB 6 to QB 11, maybe.
And so if I can get a pretty strong plus with that, Drew, and it depends on the rest of your roster too, obviously, what you've got going on. But to me, I agree, Russ, that if I'm competing, I don't want to trade for that rookie. So I'd rather have a quarterback that I know has put up in the NFL. Yeah. So either if I can get one of those three, Dak, Kyler, Tua, or if I can move back a tier in the quarterback, although in the minds of Dynasty, you're moving back several tiers. Kirk Cousins is not that far off of that group. And if you can do that and get a plus where you can get another startable player, that's another avenue that I would at least explore.
Absolutely, yeah.
Hey, Pete.
Oh, the end of it? Yeah. Just take it slightly differently. I think you can QBX if you want a John Hogue, or you can PA Howdy and look for more studs. But I think QBX is another way of looking at this. You've got Herbert, keep Herbert, you're good for 10, 20 years, it's fine. And everything else, I want to roll up and throw at people to get someone like Dak or like Kyler Murray that I think is in that top tier. Or maybe take a shot at Stroud, because I think that has the higher potential of being the better thing for the next 10 years than Wilson, Darnold, or Watson. And if you can't, don't undervalue the fact that quarterbacks can be QBX. Like, you don't want Zach Wilson, but you just keep him. And Darnold, you don't want him, but you just keep him. Same with Watson. So that would be what my attempt would be. If I can't get up there, can't get something that's maybe more like Herbert, then just kind of roster the depth of it.
Or real quick, what if you take Watson, add something else, and go after Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts?
Yeah, that's kind of what I mean. One for one for one, or
whatever it takes to get like Joe Burrow. Yes, trade. Like if your team isn't stacked and like you want it to get that way, trading back and going and getting like the Kirk Cousins plus a lot or the 102 and doing some fun stuff if you have an active league. Yes, but just picture looking down and seeing Herbert and Burrow, and you're just like, okay, I'm good now.
No, I like that. It's what I did in the DLF league this year. I just went and got Jackson and who's the other guy? Mahomes. And I didn't win, and I didn't get close to winning, but like I was still good. Like you can trade those off.
It was still
and
fun
I did
to watch,
trade one off at one point, and you can still do more. And it's nice to have him on your roster. That's kind of why I like it.
And it was fun for me to send really not good enough trades for Mahomes every once in a while.
Exactly. It was fun to receive them. Jeffrey Jacobs, 12-team Superflex PPR 1.5 PPR tight end premium. Start 10. That's his team. I like it. Sorry. I don't think, is there a follow-up here? He just split the co-championship. Congratulations. He has a 2 to 3. He has a full complement of picks apart from his first round by the look of it. No one wants running backs. To put this here in case you were doing roster evaluations. Oh, you want a roster evaluation, essentially. So what more? Well, if this was your team, what would you be trying to do?
I would find someone who is still weirdly excited about Tony Pollard, package him up with Gabe Davis, like two hype champions, and then add Aaron Rodgers and try and see if that can pull me a top 10-ish quarterback. That's my first move. I've been pulling a weird little swing on Swift where his prices drop to the point where I might start being okay with him. But otherwise, I mean, you got a lot of really good players coupled with a lot of very young and valuable hyped players. So a lot of this depends on what the rest of your league looks like and what you feel like doing, because sometimes you just don't feel like blowing it up because you don't have to. Like you can probably walk in and probably compete next year with this. You're a little light at wide receiver, but like you have good enough studs elsewhere to compete, especially if Javonte comes back. So I don't think you have to do anything in a specific direction, but I would love the idea of throwing these guys like Pollard and Gabe Davis and Aaron Rodgers and go pulling. I mean, you're not going to get someone of the lengths of Burrow. Maybe you sneak the right way at the Trevor Lawrence guy, or Fields is too high. You know, like someone of that second, third tier quarterbacks. And it just makes your, again, like we were saying before, makes your roster feel better. And right now, since it's January, that's all that really matters. Value and being happy when you look at your roster.
Yeah, I think you've got a solid team. You can go on pretty much any direction you want from this. As an evaluation, obviously, Josh Allen's your strongest piece. You're good at quarterback as well, really, with Kittle there. And you've got a lot of strength at both running back and wide receiver. My tendency is to overbalance, but just looking at it broadly, I want to throw stuff at tight end and quarterback. In a vacuum, that's kind of where I start when I've got a plethora of options. So I'm trying to put Swift with Rodgers, see if I can fish for Patrick Mahomes, see if I can fish for one of those top quarterbacks. Can I possibly add at the tight end position? Probably not. Where you're at, you don't need to throw value at it. But I mean, especially with the conversations I'm having, at least about Christian Watson, like Rodgers and Watson as a pair might get you one of those Mahomes or whoever your favorite second quarterback is. And I love the idea of doing that with this team, but I would concentrate on adding running backs just because it's the off season. As for everything else, like I say, trade away Christian Watson, but it's only a supreme, like people say it's adjusted for. That's the last comment I had. I don't think so. He's in there with like some really solid vets, are going to be top 24 players again at some point, who are 25, 26, so they're going to be fine. And the floor of it is what we just got for Kadarius Toney. So I still think there's risk in it. So if I can add to him or Pickens especially and go up, can you add, what did you have in terms of picks? That 209 probably isn't good enough.
No, you probably have to throw in the 24 first if you're moving up. But
so I'd be more interested in pairing him with one of these running backs, a Pollard, and see if you can maybe swipe an arm on Ross St. Brown. Or whoever your top upper tier player is.
That's
sorry, Zach, you go.
No. But that's the difficult thing, because Jeffrey said down a comment that nobody wants running backs. which really kind of hamstrings. Well, I mean, just
good point,
because you know your league, Jeffrey, better than we do, and if you're saying that teams don't want running backs, then that kind of hampers what you're able to do. And so I do think all of a sudden Christian Watson and Pickens become trade chips because they've become, if not overvalued, at least valued highly. They're tradable assets. Gabe Davis, I think, it would have been similar, although I don't think now where he finished at wide receiver 36 that there's quite as much hype. But you also, Jeffrey, you have to look at your team. Yes, you just finished as a co-champion, but you finished as a co-champion on Mike Evans' 48-point week. Like that to me. So like when I evaluate a team, I'm not just looking at how I finished, but I'm looking at how I finished. Does that? I'm like, I don't mean to
that's fair.
Be pedantic, but like that's what I do. So like I'm looking at, is this a rebuilder? Am I trying to restock a team, or am I just sitting back and relaxing? And to me, this is probably in between a rebuild and a restock. So if I can, because I think with this team, if you can plus up a wide receiver without giving up too much of your current stock, or plus up your quarterback too, because I think you're living in dangerous territory with Aaron Rodgers as your quarterback too, who is going to, for the next 4 months, hint at retiring. Whether or not he does, I don't know, but there's going to be that play, which is going to take his value way down. So it's like I'm looking to get off Rodgers now before that happens. If I can, I'm looking to plus up Watson or Pickens with what I've got. I mean, maybe you can pair the 24 first with one of those guys and get up to one of the wide receivers in that second tier that we like, in that Amon-Ra St. Brown, in that Garrett Wilson, in that Olave, that range. And I think you're doing a good job if you do that. Maybe you can do something where you package, if somebody's got multiple picks in the first, you can package like Pickens or Watson and that 24 first and get up into like 2 or 3 mid-range picks, because it's a super flex. If you can get somewhere between 4 and 8, that range, I think that there are going to be some good players that will help bolster your roster there. And even pairing your picks, your 23 picks, if you can package the 209 and the 307 and move up to like the 202 or 203, I think that's or somewhere in that upper second, you have a chance to get another running back. I know, roll your eyes, but like you've got a chance to add some value to your team there.
No, I was going to go in that direction. And the context of your league is the supreme thing that matters. If they don't want running backs, especially this offseason, target running backs.
Yeah.
Like running backs are going to switch up pretty soon. They're falling in value in general. And if your league is specifically leaning in that direction, what's the Breece Hall owner want?
Yeah.
That's what does the Christian McCaffrey and the Saquon Barkley owner want? What pairing do I have to come up with between the running backs you've got on the bottom of the list here and my wide receivers to maybe snag a second, even if it's a 25 second or something, to get those running backs? I think this is a really good offseason to try and do that. Roster evaluation, you're good. You're mid. You've got a lot of good players. I would start picking the direction and going in it. That's kind of pick a path and walk it kind of a thing. But the team's good enough that you can kind of pick your choice of which direction to go in. Drew, again, where should JT be going? Oh, JT is another good one you could target. But anyway, where should JT be going in a startup 12-team PPR leagues? And do you have any players picks you would consider equal in value to him?
Hold on, I can answer this. I'm in the DLF mocks this right now for 1 QB and Superflex. Running back 1 at the 109 in the 1 QB, and Superflex draft go. Oh, here we go at the 212. He was taken
Yeah,
I can't beat
them,
them.
right?
Wow. Kenneth Walker was the RB1 taken at the 210. Jonathan Taylor, 212. Brees Hall, 301. ETN, 303. Wow, running back galore. Eckler, 306. Barkley, 307. McCaffrey, 309. Apparently, that's like the place for running backs.
Well, yeah, and they're falling pretty bad.
Yeah.
And is there any player equal to them picks? Yeah, Drew. And I mean, you don't have to, but recognize that other people are falling their value. There's quite a lot of players equal or greater than his value right now, including the wide receivers, because Dynasty, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Jalen Waddle, CeeDee Lamb will all be valued above JT at least. Then you've got people like me that'll value, also Jamar Chase. Then AJ Brown I'd have over him, Jalen Waddle pretty easily. Yep. And in Superflex, you've got the quarterbacks. So, that's how he starts falling. Kyle Pitts. No, some people might value him like Kyle Pitts. But
302 in that draft, by the way. Kyle Pitts.
Sammy S. 10-team Superflex, start 10. Spend the 102. Watson for the 106.
And Hurts.
Yes.
Real easy because quarterbacks aren't even big of a deal in 10 teams, but you're getting Hurts, and that's much, much better.
Yep.
Maybe trade for Hurts was the thing we should have said earlier, but okay. 2 of 2. Drop down a spot or
Where's
2 or grab Stroud or Young. If yes, what else are you trying to get?
Wait, did we miss 1 of 2?
I think I must have. 12-team Triflex? Wow.
You can start 3
tight end premium. Notable players are Mahomes, Waddle, Olave, Wilson, Cooks, Dubs, Mahomes, Mooney, and McBride. He has a 101, the 108, the 111, and a 224 first. Nice. Since the team isn't Bajan away, would you recommend selling him? If you can get that price, like the Dynasty running back 1 price, yes. If not, draft him.
Wait, hold on, because now we have to get to drop down a spot or 2, grab you up. No, okay. It's really funny. I have to, for Trade Addicts Pod and for the DLF Dynasty Pod, we do little spots for Sleeper. And I have to then log mine and the DLF show's Sleeper spots on a spreadsheet for Sleeper and for DLF, which means I have to go back and listen to my show, which I fucking hate because I have to hear my voice then. But I had to go.
I like it.
Thanks. I went on vacation and then completely forgot I was supposed to be doing it when I got back. So I'm a few weeks behind. And I went back to, I think it's a show like 3 weeks ago where it was just me and John Bosch, and we were talking about trading the 101. And my answer was, I think the only way, if my team is bad, I trade the 101. It's not for a small move. Like, I don't really want to go down to the 102 and get like a second. Like, if I'm trading away the 101, I want like Olave, a first and a second, Trevor Lawrence and Garrett Wilson. Like, I need more than one, and everything needs to be sizable. I get the idea of moving back and getting the quarterback, which is better for your team, but you need sizable. And I would, to make me feel good about it, like, go back from the 101 to the 102, and then I need a young wide receiver I can put on my team and feel good to start building around that guy.
So Robert and Russ and Peter, here's the dirty little secret. Don't trade the 101 now, because the 101 is going to get more valuable, because Bijan Robinson is going to be the one player that there will be consensus on.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to start to see, and you're already starting to see it, you're going to start to see people start to tear down this class. You're going to start to see people say, well, this class was billed as the 2018 class, and it's not. This class was billed as the next big thing, the 2014 class. It's not. This class was billed as the 2017 class. It's not. You're going to start to see that. You're going to start to see, and I've already started to see it on my timeline. You're going to start to see people say, this isn't the class that we thought it was. It is, But you're going to see people say that. You're going to see people say, well, it doesn't have an alpha. You know, it's got Jordan Addison, it's got Jackson Smith and Jigba who had injury concerns. They're gonna say Quentin Johnston has got concerns. He's big and fast, but that's what he does. They're gonna say that Keishon Butte had injury concerns and character concerns, which, yeah, sure. You're gonna see people say, you know, Rashee Rice is not what, and then that's not even to talk about the running backs who they're going to say are either old or small, which some of them are and some of them are. But this is still a really good class. But the 101 is going to gain value because that is Bijan Robinson is going to be the one pick. And you're hearing the same thing about Stroud and Young. Young is too small. Stroud is too Ohio State. You're already hearing this. There are going to be a ton of narratives about this class where people are bored with this class. It's been talked about for so long. It's been built up that once it finally gets here, it kind of reminds me of when Star Wars did the reboot and everyone was really excited about the latest trilogy. And they were like, oh, this is going to be great. And then, you know, trailers started to come out and people got mad. And then the movie came out and people got really mad. And then you look at it now and you're like, oh no, it's not that. Like it's still Star Wars, man. Like that's going to happen. Like this is going to happen with this class. And so don't trade that 101 yet. If you're going to wait, because you're going to get even more because Bijan Robinson is going to be the consensus, like the only player that the entire community is going to agree on in this class.
As one of the people who will be tearing down this class and explaining how bad it is, because that is my role. I know you said it's not 2018, or that'd be one of the references. I think thinking of it as 2018 or Ezekiel Elliott year, like it's a Bijan Robinson year, it's a Barkley year, it's a Zeke year. I think that's roughly where we'll end. Not that there aren't other good players, but like Bijan is the one guy everyone's going to be like, oh, yeah, it's fine. And then by the end of the first year, knock on wood, it's a wooden desk. It's okay, I can do that. And actually used to be a door. Funny story. At the end of the first year, as long as he's healthy and he plays, and we're not like wronger than we've ever been on a running back one, pick your price, man. Yeah, it'll be what can I possibly give you to get Bijan Robinson? So, like, that's why I say if you can't get exactly what you want, just keep him. There will be a better time, or draft him rather. Frank N, in terms of dynasty buy lows, what do you think of T. Higgins? Do you think there is any chance he is the next marquee wide receiver to demand a trade? Free agent in 2024. Cincinnati can't keep everyone.
Okay. The point you make at the end is the right one. You know, there's zero reason to demand a trade away from the Bengals, but they are going to be in trouble when they have to pay Burrow and Chase. And let's face it, I love Higgins so much. He will be the bottom of that totem pole of priorities. Not to mention, hopefully by then they have good offensive linemen and they get some good defensive players. Higgins might be an odd man out unless I want, and as pure selfishness, because these men put their bodies through hell and deserve every penny they can get. But part of me is like, just take $6 million less a year and get everybody there.
$6 million. It's just $6 million.
It's just $6 million out of the 159. Like, I mean, clearly that is the dumbest thing to say to someone. Just take $6 million less. Like, no,
just don't have $6 million.
Absolutely get your damn money. But like, I would love for that to happen. It's probably not going to. So what I want to happen is 24 to roll around and then T. Higgins go to the Jaguars. So Higgins and Ridley can be on the same team and I could move to Jacksonville. I wouldn't even move to I would move to their stadium and I would just live there and watch everything.
I think there's a broader point about T. Higgins, not specifically about the trade, but everyone wants to believe they can see a trade coming. Me, I'm just happy to see them when they turn up. Instead, I think T. Higgins is interesting because he's in this area of wide receivers where everyone's favorite wide receiver exists, and it's not often T. Higgins because he's not the wide receiver one on his team, right? And we default to that, but like T. Higgins belongs there, and so you might find good trades because of that. Like he's in a really good tier, but he's not always everyone's favorite wide receiver in that tier, if you know what I mean. So I actually think he's worth exploring in your leagues in general.
Every good wide receiver too, and that goes all the way up to Waddle. Go offer trades for them because people still have that dumb assumption that you can't have two good wide receivers, like even though it's been happening for decades, but still, Higgins will always be worth less than he should be because Chase is on his team. So is he a buy low? I mean, not really, because he's still at a good price for who he is, but he still would be worth more if Chase was never drafted there.
Yeah, like ADP from last month, Higgins is like the 9th player off the board, straight up in non-superflex. And that's just after Jalen Waddle, Breece Hall, Saquon Barkley, and Higgins is in the middle there, and then Mark Andrews, Stephon Diggs. And it's like, that seems right. But I don't get the impression everyone's like, you're T. Higgins in the first round. And that's a really good ADP for him. So you know what I mean? I think if he's just on your roster and you're not trying to make a decision in a draft, you might somewhat underrate the value of T. Higgins, if you know what I mean. Unless you're Russ, and then, good luck. SEO. Hi, gents. 12-team Superflex. Like, I wouldn't be surprised. No, I don't mean to keep going on. I wouldn't be surprised if it's one of the bigger discrepancies between ADP and Dynasty ranks for that reason. SEO. Hi, gents. 12-team Superflex. Start 13. 2 tight end premium, I assume, or just 2 tight ends. Fields or Watson, plus a 24 first.
Rush, you're not going to like the answer because it's Watson in a first. It is.
I hate it.
I know.
But that's the value.
No.
I hate it, but that's the value.
I have no strong feelings, so I'll take that as the answer. Zach Linton, FF Uncle Piff. I'll take it. 1 of 2. Oh, we got a lot of 1 of 2s today. 10-team Superflex start 9. This is his team, which you can read quicker than I can describe, I am sure. It's one of 3. On the team above, I have no first in 2026. 1 of 4. Anyone I should get off of for high firsts? Anyone you're desperately trading away specifically for firsts? Obviously, we want firsts.
I would, if I can get a nice first for Javonte, I do that. If that's what we're asking.
Really?
Otherwise, no.
It depends how high. You need a top 5 pick for Javonte.
Javonte's honestly like that's the only person here that
I don't see anyone I think's drastically misvalued, but on average in your league you might find someone who thinks, but Foreman is the next great thing, but
appreciate Justin Jefferson, AJ Brown, T. Higgins, and Garrett Wilson as a wide receiver core. Wow. I love that so much.
Just to go back to JT, if unlike in the other league we're talking about, like it is a pretty good time to trade JT if you can find that value. Like we said, it's slipped, but if you can get a high first plus a wide receiver like the Zach special move, I think it's time. If you can't, it's fine.
I'd be good with that.
Until this year's rookie draft happens, Jonathan Taylor is running back 1 through 3, like somewhere in that range. Like you ought to be able to get a haul for him still, which is after a bet. Yeah. So he's the guy that I would be trying to package with JT. I mean, you could almost get the 101 with JT and something.
Yeah. JT and Lockett. No, just keep Lockett. I'm locking Lockett in for the rest of my life. But
start 9 with those JT 4 top wide receivers. I don't know.
If you can find a big Palmer truther and JT, or
or even try to go get Breece Hall with something like.
Oh, I would love that.
Like I'm interested. Like I think Breece Hall is still a top 3.
If you only have to start one running back, package JT and Javonte. Go nuts.
Is there any chance you can throw Jimmy G in some packages? I mean, he's a quarterback in Superflex.
I think you have to wait because I think he's going to land somewhere. Whether it's with Las Vegas or whether it could be back in New England. Who knows where he's going to land? But he's going to land somewhere, and he'll probably start. So, hang on.
Yeah.
Okay. That's probably going to change, but right now, Deshaun Watson and Trevor Lawrence are back-to-back in Superflex ADP. I want Lawrence. And that's not just an icky taste in my mouth. That's buying back years for a top 12 quarterback all day, every day. So, like, he's someone, I mean, if that value kind of a thing. So look at what the Lawrence team has and see if you can get one of those high firsts for Watson plus JT and if you see what I'm trying to get at there. It's a very specific trade, and it depends on what that guy thinks or go. But I think that's really interesting. Like Lawrence is the guy in that tier that doesn't have a concussion history, which gets you out of Watson dead straight, you know?
And is on a team that, in spite of themselves, look like they're ascending. Like Jacksonville.
Just imagine if they did
better.
Good things. Yeah. You know? So, yeah. And Calvin Ridley's on the way. By the way, all rosters we've done so far, get Calvin Ridley. Although I will say, again, another DM I had, he's asking, would I trade this for Calvin and that for Calvin? In his league, the Calvin Ridley value seems off the chart. It was like the 108 plus. It was like Burks. You were having a trade at 2 year ago value. And in which case,
you should not be giving more than a second for Calvin Ridley right now.
Like, the lowest offer he put in there was like a second plus a 25 first, and it was already a high second. I was like, no, the second by itself is a little too much because it's a high second. But yeah, outside of that, Calvin Ridley. Real Misfit Toys, 10-team PPR Superflex, start 9. Which side you on? Traylon Burks and Michael Thomas.
What?
Calvin Ridley. See what I mean?
Yeah, Burks and Thomas.
Yes, Burks and Thomas.
The appeal of Ridley right now is that he should be a value. Like you should be able to get him at a buy low price. If you can't, that's fine.
Then you move on.
Yeah.
Either that or it's buy Michael Thomas and Traylon Burks season, which I'm interested in doing both anyway. But like that,
Burks, yes. I'm Michael Thomas.
Again, the market's just sharper than us. They're already there on Ridley, I think.
Did you see that Amon-Ra St. Brown, with his 196 receptions in his first 2 years, has now tied for the most catches in the first 2 years of a career with Michael Thomas and Justin Jefferson, which is pretty good company. If you're gonna be a receiver in that area, like being tied to those two is not a bad thing.
But you know, it's just because Swift was injured or whatever.
No, it was Hawkinson got traded. Peter, keep up, will you?
Right.
Vacated targets.
SU2, buddy. One QB half point. I'm gonna make that joke every time.
That's my favorite. I love it.
Half point PPR.
It's almost as good as Dr. Ampian.
Don't even. Should have a top 3 to 5 starting lineup next year. He has the 102 and the 103. Then it's going to be even better. Being offered Justin Jefferson and for the 102, the 103, and TJ.
Take it.
Yeah. That is not.
Yeah, you take that.
That is not too steep a price
At all.
No. That's it's not going to be It's going to be running back 2, wide receiver 1.
That's like Jahmyr Gibbs and Smith and Jigbo. But I mean
I would take Addison and.
I think it's going to be Addison.
Yeah. I would take both. I would take the 2 wide receivers over Gibbs, but that's just me.
Yeah. Me too. Just because I love wide receivers, but I try and talk more consensus than personal preference, just because.
I'm going to tell you how.
But also, given the context of his team, like he's already got a great team. There's no reason to think more things. Think the thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but
go for the stud.
It's going to
There's
suck.
no
One of
reason
those
to-
wide receivers, if not both, are going to be great. And you're going to be like, dang it. But
Like-
then you get to look at
Yeah, but
Justin Jefferson and be
you
like,
already
you know?
Would you trade Amon-Ra St. Brown and Devonta Smith for Justin Jefferson
yes.
without thinking about it, right?
Yes.
You would be thrilled if Addison and JSN turned into those two guys.
Yeah, that's the upside, right? Yeah, that's a good way of thinking of it. If it was Pat Fairmouth, no, I'm kidding. Cypher, let's not take the bit too far. Cypher, 10-team Dynasty Superflex PPR. We can get cancelled after all. Already have Chase, Tyreek, AJ Brown, Ayuk. Okay. He's got Justin Jefferson now for the 101 and 102, and plan on taking Bijan and Bryce. What move? Just do all of that. Yes.
Yeah, good move. Look,
Yeah.
the answer is kind of yes, but kind of no. I can see a world where
Yeah, I think that's solid.
it's solid because it's the 101 and 102, but like getting off of Jefferson for that makes it feel not as great as other ways of getting the 101 and 102.
Well, but the cool thing about getting Bijan Robinson right now, and this is you have to have the stomach for this, but this is how I play running backs, where you draft Bijan, you roll with him for 2 years, and then you can trade him for whoever the Justin Jefferson is in 2 years.
The thing is, Justin Jefferson can't become the wide receiver one any harder.
Right.
Bijan Robinson will get higher. Like, sometimes they default to that. Which one's going to increase in value? It's Bijan Robinson. And then, again, we're projecting a lot, but we also tend to be fairly conservative when we're projecting the players. Like, I think that's noticeable. We don't go too high out. Like, oh, Bijan Robinson's going to be worth the world and 4 kids. But I think it's pretty safe to say by the end of his first year, you should be able to get the wide receiver one pretty comfortably. And that should still be Justin Jefferson, but I don't think you're losing anything and you're getting points at running back. So, yeah, I think you go get the running back when you've got a good core and you're trying to win. It's me. Sucks because we're dynasty players, so like running back, ick. But I think it's a good move overall.
I get that Bijan is Bijan, and I don't remember.
I haven't even looked at a single one of his stats, and I'm like, obviously, he's great. I'm taking others' opinions, to be fair.
I don't remember the last time we've missed on this dude running back is that dude. Like, we got it with Saquon, we got it with Zeke, we got it with Derrick Henry, all of the 2017 guys.
Well, no, Henry was a little bit later.
He was that guy.
I did this video where I went through some of this. I mean, you could have watched it.
Okay, Derrick Henry, the running back that I held on to him long enough because I believed and I sat through the DeMarco Murray shit. But
it was right.
Like, we were a little upset with Melvin Gordon year one, but already we're going back to like 20.
But that was Gurley's year, so it wasn't Melvin Gordon; it was Gurley.
We get the running back one correct, and again, that's not predictive, but you can be much more confident in the running back ranks than the wide receiver ranks.
Yeah, but it's just like
there's one year where we almost draft
good and not the greatest. And maybe he falls down, comes down to a normal running back price. That would suck.
It could be that rare year where you get Leonard Fournette and Christian McCaffrey goes off the board after him. That's an example of a miss, but I mean, you still got Leonard Fournette. And so I see your point. I'm assuming, by the way I hear him talk about that, he's much more in the Barkley conversation than the good conversation.
Yes. And this is me being a scaredy cat. That's literally all it is. This is me being like, if I can get it now, I'm just going to take it now kind of thing. Because there is the smallest chance in the world that he doesn't hold the value.
That's fair. I like playing scaredy cat too, but Cypher, you good.
I think the last real running back miss was probably like Bishop Sankey. Just throwing that out there. Like,
yeah.
So 2014 was like the last.
That wasn't even really anyone's fault. He just happened to be the first running back drafted. I don't remember anyone liking him.
Well, no, he was the Dynasty one. Like, he was the guy.
Okay, but I mean, I wasn't in Dynasty back then, but like even in redraft, I remember just being like, "Oh, Bishop Sankey was the first one drafted." Okay, so we're not going to draft rookie running backs this year. Got
it. No, I do remember guy who co-hosted with Matthew Berry, and I think he's an NFL guy now.
Field Yates.
That's the guy I remember on a podcast, because I was just listening to ESPN podcasts at the time, talking about the opportunity Sankey was walking into. That's like the worst thing in the world to know Field Yates for. I'm sure he's done good stuff as well, but I remember him hyping up Bishop Sankey.
That's like throwback. That's like back to like the fantasy. You're in the 06010. That era. That's nice.
The last time podcasts were good. Yes.
Dude.
Apart from the only independent podcast still out there, the Dynasty done.
I mean, that was still around the same time. That was still around the same time, Peter. We've been around forever. It's ridiculous.
Sven Anderson, 10-team Dynasty Superflex PPR, start 11. I skipped one, I think. I'll go back to it. Start 11, need wide receiver help. Well, yes, but no. It's the offseason, but yeah.
Absolutely. For the 202?
Yes. Was offered Smith for the 202.
And Pittman for the 204. Yes. Yes.
Wait,
yes.
Was offered Devonta Smith for the 202. It was offered Michael Pittman for the do both of those.
Yes.
Both Smith, of them instantly.
I have been gushing over Devonta Smith lately. Talked about him on Dynasty Wall Street, talked about him on the DLF podcast and the DLF trade show and Trade Addicts. Like, just going nuts talking about him. Like, I am all about Devonta Smith right now. So to get him,
you're welcome for carrying the torch this far by not caring about BMI. Like, I got him here for you, and you can just keep running. It's fine.
Oh, I didn't even notice you were there. Sorry.
That's fair. No, Devonta Smith's great. I miss BMI truthers, man. I'm almost sad I murdered all of them over the last 2 years with takes like Devonta Smith. But I mean,
they'll be fair. You buried one or two of them alive. They still could be down there.
They could rise. Zombies exist. Who was it this year? No, there was a BMI concern that arose on this year's class, and I think it might have been Drake London.
I don't remember hearing any stuff this year.
He's a little skinnier. Someone. Anyway. 12-team Superflex PPR 1.5 tight end premium, start 11. Mark Andrews was placed on the block. He's got the 107 plus gets the deal done. Plus
what? Yeah, what do you need to put with the 107 to get Mark Andrews in a 1.5 point premium?
Unless your tight end is Kyle Pitts, Travis Kelce,
Kittle,
Fairmouth. Sorry, I'm putting them on the list. Then you add your tight end to the 107 and just be pretty happy with that, to be honest with you. Like, would you do Hawkinson in it for the 107? Yeah, me too, I think. If you want Andrews, I think that's fair. If your tight end is like...
I can't answer clearly.
You're so mad at Andrews.
Yeah.
Like, he's been injured for like 8 weeks.
It didn't help me win championships.
That's true. But I told you to trade for Kittle 6 weeks ago.
I did once or twice, and it did work. But I was trying to move Andrews, and I literally couldn't. No. That's a lie. One, I got a DJ Moore and my first back, which of course ended up being the 111 because effing Brian freaking Haar.
But Russ, that's
beat me in the championships.
Partially your fault because your leagues with your 1.75 premium, it's almost impossible to get value back for those top tight ends. Like it's hard because those top tight ends make such a huge difference.
Can't believe you just victim blamed me right there.
I would never.
Outside of having a half decent tight end to add, a second round pick.
You should. In this year, the 107 is honestly a strong offer to me. So you put a little candy on top, and it should hopefully get a deal done.
Oh, candy. Sven Anderson, 10.
We did that one.
Yeah, but yeah,
we went back.
But I have never pretended to be competent, Zach. So ZT12, 10-team, 2 QB PPR, quarterbacks are Herbert, Lance Pickens, Tannehill, Aaron Jones, Ramondre Stevenson, Rashad White, Kenneth Gainwell. Don't know why you listed him, but there he is. Lam Higgins, Hollywood, Olave, J-Mo, nice. Johnson,
a lot of wide receivers.
So, yeah, pretty good wide
like
receivers. The worst one there is probably Juju, and that hurts my soul. Well, no, it's Dubs. It's
Dubs.
Tight ends, Pitts and Dulcich. Nice.
True.
Gonna skip ahead to see if there was a question.
No, I just.
Oh, I think it's just because I titled it roster evaluation, so we keep getting these. Like, please evaluate my roster. Your roster is great, especially for this off season, because running backs are the theme, and that's the only thing you really need. I would go shopping for discount running backs, specifically targeting Bijan Robinson if you can, followed by Breece Hall. Second overall, Najee Harris is a pretty decent value as well. What you're looking to do is add one of your running backs to one of your depth wide receivers, Dubs preferably, and try to go get one of those guys or one of those picks and set yourself up for.
Would you feel good rolling into a season in a 2 QB league with this QB room?
I mean, you're going to have at least 2 starters.
Yeah,
regardless.
The 3 players kind of roll into one player, but
yeah. Pickett's going to be a starter. Tannehill probably is a starter somewhere. Herbert is obviously your one. And then if Trey Lance happens to play and do what people thought he was going to do, then you're fine. And if not, then you still have Pickett as your number 2 starter. You're okay.
All right, just
I like targeting. I like targeting that upside value at quarterback, but mostly when I'm trying to play even Stevens, trying to grow a little bit. This team's in a place to go dominate some people if you're
trade Lance then and get a number 2. Like, you could do that.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, that's not my first move unless I'm not ready to dominate. But yeah, you could go either way. It's fair. If you could add something to Lance and go get Mahomes, Allen, Hurts, awesome. I think that's a good move for you too. But yeah, your team's set. It's ready to roll in 2023. I would start rolling. Yeah. As a Master Pro, what is George Pickens worth? I think that group of wide receivers, the specific group of wide receivers we're talking about right now, it's worth the 106 to the 120, like a mid to late first in the 2023 draft. Like, I think that's pretty good value. Anyone?
Yeah. And I'd pull the trigger if I get the 106 or 107 for Pickens. I'd pull the trigger pretty easily. If I was back a little further than that, then I would say, okay, well, I'll give you Pickens and my second to move up into the top 6 or 7. That's what I would do.
The other moves with Pickens or the others is to add your first and go try and get Waddle, CD, Amon-Ra St. Brown, whoever's in that pretty much top tier, but not Jefferson and Chase. Or I really like the vets across from them. You've got Brandon Ayuk. Devontae Smith is not too far away from Pickens right now. That would be gorgeous. If you could add a second and move across to Ayuk. DJ Moore, who else is there?
Do you think you could get Deontay Johnson plus for Pickens right now?
Yes.
Deontay Johnson's a good one. He's a little lower, but yeah, I like that a lot.
Like, that to me is a move.
Yeah. And again, your league kind of determines what leagues moves are available. So I'm just kind of giving you the runner.
And Peter, I like that. Like, I get what they're trying to do with Pickens to get into the 23 class. But if you can trade Pickens for a guy who's already established, that's even better. Like, you're not having to make a bet that potentially doesn't pay off. I mean, I guess there is a minute chance that these guys disintegrate, but like, you're moving to a player that you already, it's a known commodity, which I think is a solid move off of an overvalued player.
And to make the trade I've been saying is a walk away win outside of going up by adding your first to one of those great wide receivers is if you can get a second back with some of these veterans, that's a walk off win. Like, if you can get DJ Moore in a second for Pickens or Watson or Dotson or any of the other reindeer, walk away win for me. Same with Marcus Brown is in that range. Deontay Johnson, like you mentioned, is a little low ranked. Ayuk. So depending on what team you're trading with, they might be willing to add that second or not. But that's kind of where that's the price I want if I can't go up. but I try to go up first because I'm all about that life. And by up, I mean in ADP. And the reason I'm not specific staying to one player or another is because you might not like CeeDee Lamb. You could be crazy. I don't know. So you go get your guy up there that you like, if you know what I mean. Reaver, with QBs being Zach Wilson and Trey Lance and a super flex, would you move Brees for the 103? Yes.
And Russell
I think
Wilson.
I'd be more tempted to trade for value if those are my quarterbacks. I'd be much more tempted to trade Zach Wilson, but yeah.
I just don't want to, but it's probably the right move.
You make that move and then you call your team Wilson. Wilsons,
even. Yeah. Nice. Zaymaster Pro back again. And with Bateman too, someone offered me commit and the 208 for Bateman and
Okonkwo.
I'd hang on to Bateman for that. I don't care about Komet and the 208s. I'd rather have Bateman than the 208.
Okonkwo was kind of killing it at the end of the season.
Yeah, but he's just another tight end.
I know, which is why I was just saying, like,
almost
throwing away Okonkwo a little bit, but like starting him or Komet is starting the same
thing. Yep. Yep.
So,
and for reference,
saying Bateman over the 208.
I would put Bateman in this value range, like the Pickens, Watson, like that's how much I like him. Yeah. So I kind of already gave you a good idea.
I think he's probably a little lower in consensus, but
you
are not consensus. I'm aware of that, Peter.
Rarely. 12-team PPR, 5.5 tight end premium.
True.
I consider it a superior format. Yes, we'll catch up with you in a minute, Justin. Hurricane Lane, what's up, guys? Been on the binge of Howard's content for the last hour. Oh, I really appreciate that, man. Happened to stumble in here at the right time.
Welcome. You say the right time, but you were an hour early because now we're here.
Take a break.
We suck.
Like, you can't go full howdy. You never go full howdy.
Peter, mute yourself so you can't hear me for a second. But Russ, Peter's been killing it for like the last 3 weeks or so. Like his content has been,
Peter's been killing it for the past 3 years, to the best of my knowledge.
No, absolutely. But like he's dialed it up a notch with his content. Like I learned stuff and laughed. I literally laughed out loud. Like, I know you say that sometimes in text, but I literally laughed out loud at his last couple of videos, like 3 or 4 times while I'm watching him own all of the nerds, of which he is one. So it's
not a Pete show if he doesn't at least self-own.
Right. So Hurricane Lane, like I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're binging Peter's stuff because he is fantastic and you will be better off for it. Also, welcome to the grind.
Yes.
Okay, Peter, you can unmute yourself. Come back. I just didn't want you to hear any
reason apologizing that I felt like a creeper because there was like I would be a little behind on podcasts, so I'd listen to 2 of the late rounds and then go right into living the stream. Then just like, all right, this feels like a little much, and I know you have no idea what's going on in my life, but I apologize for feeling weird about this. And he just, he liked it, which was good enough for me. That made it feel like he laughed, or at least just pitied me enough to give me that like. So, but yeah, no, like listen to someone that doesn't have a Kentucky accent and just breathe. All right, well, he's gone now. So Patty Mills, trade Jameson, the 106, 102, the 112.
Can I come back yet?
Yeah, come back. I'm glad you didn't hear that. We're saying horrible things about you.
I'm glad. Someone's got it. No, I took the time to respond to a comment on YouTube since Hurricane reminded me that those exist. Patty Mills, trade Jameson, the 106, the 112, the 208 for the 101, and Kyle Trask. Is he still a thing? Loves the laughs. One
that was the laugh out loud. See, people say that. I'm hip. I'm with it.
Team came in second last year. Congrats, man. That's awesome.
Yes.
Well, not as awesome as 1, but
start 8. Yes. Trade all of that for the 101 in the start.
Yes. Yes. Very, very.
In fact, if you have 2 copies of Kyle Trask, add both of them to this and do that, Patty.
Bold.
Sean, my Superflex 2 QB stud strategy got destroyed by injuries. That sucks. In multiple leagues. I'm getting little Andrew Luck flashbacks right now. Lamar, Kyler, Hurts, Herbert were hobbled early. Any big takeaways from that?
Yes. Variance is a thing. Variance is a thing. Variance is a thing. You're fine. You got studs. Run it back next year, Sean.
Unfortunately, that's why there's always an element of keeping one foot out, even when you get to the playoffs. The goal is to get to the playoffs, and after that, you kind of just take your hands off the wheel, say, football, do stuff for me. I can't tell you how many screenshots I've seen of people in the finals. Like, it didn't matter what start-sit decision I made. I was putting up over 200 points every week, and this week I'm putting up 17. It's just, it's part of why people like best ball and people are trying to find different formats, because the head-to-head strategy is fun. I think it's superior, but it's a lot of effort, and also this is always going to be a problem. I don't have any big takeaways from running quarterbacks get injured more, because I think you know where I go with that, Sean. I don't think that's necessarily true. So yeah, variance exists. Always keep that half a pinky out and play the value game a little bit. Justin Goldman, ETN and KJ Osborne or Jonathan Taylor in a mid-third. Jonathan Taylor so easily.
Yes, and this is in a 12-team PPR half-point tight end premium.
I see.
See?
Yeah, nice.
I mean, that is just ETN for Jonathan Taylor. I don't understand what's happening.
So you guys both agree
ETN
that
and Walker's value are so bad right now.
You guys both agree that Jonathan Taylor had a poor year by Jonathan Taylor's standards. Yes. Okay. He still finished at nearly a point a game higher than ETN. Like, as poorly as Taylor played, he was still better than ETN by a point a game. Better days are ahead.
There was a stretch there where he was injured, then he suffered touchdown regression. But here's the thing:
I mean, Jonathan Taylor
is an upgrade on ETN if both are healthy. That's the thing. If both are healthy and play,
I mean, Jonathan Taylor only played 11 games. He was injured a lot this year too, Peter. Yeah. Take Jonathan Taylor. Run. Be happy, Justin.
Yep. And KJ Osborne and a third both matter as little as each other. Sorry, Mr. Osborne. Zane Master Pro. Sorry, last question. Are you can ask as many as
you can have another one. Run it back. We'll get to you at like 11:30.
We appreciate it, to be honest. Sorry, last question. Are you buying into Tua right now? I think we covered Tua a little bit, but we can go into it again. If so, for what? The value of Tua is different than the first part of the question, because I have honest concerns about the way concussions are dangerous, man. Like from a real world perspective, I have no questions about his ability if healthy. And so that's a different question to me. His value, as we said, like the 102 feels tentatively. If scared, I might take the 102 to get just a new young quarterback with upside because he's got a good profile. So that's where I'm at. So the 4 or 5 is a little low for me.
Well, first of all, you remember when we were like terrified that Brandon Cooks was just going to retire because he got like 3 concussions in 3 games, and then it's never really happened. Well, I'm sure it's happened again. It just never got caught again. Like,
even when it's not concussion injuries,
we're scared now. He plays a position that gets full on run at more, but like he could probably go 3 years without a concussion, and we'll forget this ever happened. Okay, maybe not because of just that one time when his hands locked, and people might not forget that. But as a human being, I'm worried about it. As a football fan, fantasy football player, I don't think I'm letting that change my value on him. And you also cross your freaking fingers they draft some offensive linemen.
There you go.
Well, they don't have a first, so.
Zach, any differences?
No, I think if you can get him for one of those early first, you do it.
Yeah. Hurricane Lane. I'm in a 12-team Superflex league. My roster is laden with prime assets, including 8 firsts over the next 2 years. The 102, the 104, the 107, the 111, the 112. I'm considering going up to the 101, which is a good idea. What price? The 2 and the 4 is probably fair, probably a little much. But if your roster's great, yeah, I would do that. Any other combination, therefore, is also legitimate.
Yeah, I mean, the 2 and the 4, and then try to trade the 11 and 12 to get up to the 6. I mean, I don't know if you can get there, but
start at the bottom and see what happens. Offer the 102 and the 112 and see how high they go. They might just go say the 102 and the 107 and be like, okay,
yeah, that's fair. I like. I
mean,
Russ.
if you can get it for less, do it for less. Yeah. I do like that way of thinking about rookie drafts. So I want to trade up to get the players I want. So if I want to play at the end of the first, I want to add something to a second to go up to it. And if I want the 101, I want to add to go up to it. Instead of trading back, I find rookie drafts are harder to do that way. iDub, as a Chubb and Cooper owner, I watched a lot of Watson this year. I'm sorry. He still has a knack for extending plays and making plays. Real rusty, but he's a buy in my opinion. I think in overall terms of fantasy outcome, yeah.
I don't think anyone's arguing that. To be honest, I just don't like him as a person.
Andrew A, really appreciate the show. Welcome back, man. Thanks very much. Traded Walker the third. Thank you. And a second this year for the 24 and 25 first.
Oh, man, Andrew, you crushed that.
That's good. That's nice.
Never
would have been prior to finding your show. Cheers, guys. I appreciate that. Now I just desperately hoping that works out. It will. But you know what I mean? You get excited when people are like, I did this because of you. And you're like, I hope I'm right. I don't want to disappoint someone. But honestly, value-wise, I think you walk into 9 out of 10 leagues, and that seems like just phenomenal value. So, I like it.
I mean, Kenneth Walker and Ezekiel Elliott were less than a touchdown difference in points scored this year. And yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, everyone is like, oh, Ken Walker is gonna, and they've run him out to the running back 1 or 2 or 3, and it's like, you guys are wild. Like, he's top 12. Like, he's like a borderline top 12. Like, he's probably his career, he probably finishes like 8 to like 18 several times. He's good. He's a very good runner, and people are victory lapping the fact that he can catch. He didn't.
Again, guys, I can say very few things with confidence because of my nature, but I was confident that this year the top 12 would look very similar to the top 12 at the start of the year, and it does. I think the opposite's true next year. The top 12 running backs look very different this time next year, and that's kind of what I'm using to guide myself more than anything. So Walker and ETN, I get it. And I'm not saying, they're going to be dust. They're good players, but I think the top 12 looks drastically different in a year. No. Lakers ex-Commanders. What's a minimum you would sell Fields and Tua for? The minimum. That's a better question. I mean, I'm not buying the whole Fields might talk. Yeah, I think it's 103.
The Fields getting traded conversation, by the way, because... not even sarcastically. I think it's a very fun conversation in what is smart for a franchise to do as a football team and what is smart for a franchise to do earning money.
Yeah.
Because as a franchise, trading Fields and then trading back from the 101 or 102 or wherever the heck they ended up, they can get a team. Yeah, they have the 1 now because Lovie Smith got fired for that game. Let's just
Texans. We're going to challenge this. We're going to score the touchdown, and then we're going for 2.
Yeah. Like that. Like Lovie Smith got fired for winning.
That's the Bill Belichick coaching tree right there.
Like, seriously, like it's. I saw the conversation started on Twitter, and I jumped in, and I didn't have time to keep it going because I find it so interesting. Like, the balance between making money, winning games, and keeping your fans.
Yeah.
Like, there would be a freaking riot in Chicago, no matter what they got, if they traded Fields away.
I thought you were going to say Montgomery. Sorry.
Could you guys also rank Bateman, Burks, and Dotson? And this is I think I have a paragraph to say on this one. So if anyone else wants to go first, now's your chance.
Burks, Bateman, Dotson.
Yeah, that's right.
I think that's a rank, but I think there's a little more context in it. Like I keep getting told Watson's so high valued, he's easily not the same as Watson. But here's the thing. Watson and Pickens are ranked above that range of vets we were talking about, and it's all very close. But the keep trade cut value, and I think the ADP is going to back this up, has Dotson below the vets. Like you can't trade Dotson for one of those vets plus, but you can those others, and that's why they're interesting. And so I actually think Dotson's value is really interesting. But yeah, it's easily Burks, Bateman, Dotson, but all three are really interesting trade areas, if you know what I mean. I'm interested in all three of them. If I'm right about Dotson's value, like you can get him for a second, mid-second. I'm like, sure.
Holds the name value that you can't. But like I have to be like I forgot where I said this because I talk too often. I really like Penn State pass catchers. Hashtag Team Clem's a big wide receiver, and I love Penn State pass catchers. If Jahan Dotson went to any other school, I probably just wouldn't like him. But I hold on a little bit of hope just because I like Penn State pass catchers. But like I'm just not into Dotson.
I mean, that's the thing. He doubles up all the mistakes. Like he's got touchdown regression like Christian Watson, and he's got targets per route run concerns like George Pickens, and that's why he falls to the bottom. But that to me means the guy rostering or girl rostering him is less likely to be, he's going to be great. But he's going to do something. You don't go from 30 reps per game as a rookie with high draft capital to Laquan Treadwell. We're out of that range of outcomes at this point. He's going to do something, even if it's just Corey Davis. And that's interesting to me as potentially the guy someone hates, but is rostering right now. Hates, But yeah, it's easily Burks is a guy I want to trade if I only have one thing to go get. Then it's Bateman. Dotson's distant. Maybe if you hate him, the other person. Donovan Fink, 12-team PPR Superflex. How do you value Trey Lance? I'd put him on a scale, and then I check the chart now. I think his value is going to rise as long as he stays on the team, which I don't see a way they get rid of him. And he'll probably be projected as a starter at some point, and everyone remembers those 5 games towards the end of his rookie season. And he's healthy in the workout video. And so right now I have a wait and see value on him. If I'm rostering, I'm going to wait until close to the season and see if I can't get a lot more for him then. That's where I'm at. I don't know how else to describe it.
Wherever you've got Kirk Cousins, like to me, it's like right in that area. So I don't know where Cousins is. I'd have to count, but because I think
and
Cousins,
you don't do that.
Cousins, I don't. No math in football. I math all day. I don't need to math in football.
That's what you're here
be
for.
27th overall.
Yeah, somewhere around there. I mean, maybe like the spot ahead of Cousins. That's fine. But to me,
we'll put him above him.
Yeah, to me, like Cousins has that real solid floor, but he's never going to reach the potential upside of Lance. The problem is Lance has that zero sum that can happen. Like there's, it's you're playing a game where you're making a wager where you can lose everything with Lance. You can't do that with Cousins. And so that like they're right in that same, because I think that to me, Cousins is the final quarterback that I'm interested in. Before it gets,
once you go past him, you hit that like
it gets real scary.
Part.
Yeah,
Matt Ryan.
It gets real scary. You get all the quarterbacks that I have on all my rosters where I don't draft quarterbacks. Yeah.
Hey, I won a championship with just Daniel Jones because someone would not give me Kirk Cousins. I did not have a second quarterback.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not that sorry.
I'm not sorry either because I won.
Devin, glad to have Russ back on the stream.
Not as much as we are.
Not as much as I am. I'm so really happy to be back here.
Where were we thinking tier breaks are going to be in the upcoming rookie class? He has the 1, the 2 to the 9, I'm guessing. The 10
this is like
to the 6.
1 QB, then that guess. If this is super flex, I think the 2 and the 3 are a tier of their own as well. Like, give me John, give me the 2 quarterbacks. Then there's probably maybe 4 to 6 players.
Once you get past the 2 quarterbacks, for me, there are 4.
Yeah,
it's a pretty solid 4 player tier.
No, can't.
There's gonna be some value in those second round picks this year, I think.
I think we're gonna find like the 2020 draft, which I will always go back to because of this guy. Like
I think Zach described it as like 2000. I thought you said 2018 before.
Yep.
And that seems fair.
Like.
But I keep thinking 2020, 2021, especially with the way the wide receivers have shaped up.
And
obviously this year isn't 2021 by any shot.
The way Zach describes how we start breaking players down because we have nothing better to do, we talked Juju down into a second round pick. Like,
that's wild.
And I'm the a-hole that drafted John Ross over him at the 201.
Oh, no.
Love my fast wide receivers, right? Ugh, never again. No.
What? Not if they hurt themselves running the 40. No.
Yeah, but he won an island. He just had the wrong shoes. He had the wrong shoes on.
I forgot about that.
Lakers ex-commanders. Hey, that was me with a tour DM. Appreciate the discourse. Appreciate it, man. Just trying to not to undersell the guy because I'm a fan, but maybe that's clouding my judgment. It's always good to check, but I mean, it's also meant to be fun, right? So let it cloud it if you want to. And yeah, thanks for the DM, man. I really do appreciate when people reach out. Gazerk. 14 don't know why I said it that way. 14 team, 1 QB, half point PPR, 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, 1 tight end, 1 flex. Don't make me laugh while I'm reading. Well, I have to catch up with you, Gazerk, because I can't see the question right off the top of my head. Ryan, first year of Dynasty League. Huge fan. I appreciate that, Ryan. Thanks for checking in. I'd like to spend more time on that, but we're way behind. D. Magoon, 10-team Superflex PPR start 10. Team is pretty much set going into the offseason, but trying to decide if on my last bench player, Shaheed or Isaiah Hodgins. Shaheed, because I don't know much about Hodgins, and Shaheed looks like he might be a really interesting high variance player.
They're both interesting to me.
Kind of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I seems like more default. Shaheed looks good.
So Russ, you're in a bunch of leagues with me. So about 5 weeks left in the season, I had a waiver run where I added Hodgins in every league I'm in. So like you must have seen that week where it was I added Hodgins and I added Richie James in like every league that they were available. And Richie James is not a stash. Richie James was a play because I looked at the Giants and they were playing Minnesota and Detroit, and I was like, okay, well that's fun.
And then Hodgins scored everything.
Yeah, and so like I made it to playoffs. I made it to playoffs on the back of the New York Giants receiving core, and Hodgins included. So like I think both of them are really interesting. They're different. Shaheed is a deep ball guy, can be a 15-point week any week because he can catch a 90-yard touchdown. Where Hodgins,
and that's his I think that's his upside.
Yeah, to be clear. And Hodgins could conceivably be in the Giants' plan going forward when they actually get their team to be,
They have Wandale. They have, I think they have a tight end in Bellinger.
Yeah,
it would be, and they're going to draft an early wide receiver.
Yeah,
so I think it's more likely that Shaheed is part of that offense because they're not going to relegate Olave to a deep guy. So hopefully they have to find a way to get a quarterback though, which I don't know how they will.
More than you'd think in college, but that doesn't matter. Sorry, I'm just talking. Karen.
but Wandale Robinson is going to be a slot guy.
Yes.
They're gonna end up trying to draft an X, and then you just you have Hodgins. I think Hodgins can be the other guy. Like there's a potential for him to be that.
Fair enough. I guess it's putting a lot of faith in what would be the 4th to 5th option in the Giants offense. I mean, if there's no price, fair enough. Yeah, I'm overthinking it.
So you would keep.
I mean, it's Shaheed would be my priority, but I don't mind stashing both of them if they're depending.
Just in case there's someone else on your roster, you might keep.
Yeah,
Hodgins sounds interesting. Shaheed is very limited in terms of what he can do, but he had a really solid rookie season, and so I want to keep him. So unless there's someone else you can cut, that's who I would keep. But Zach's making Hodgins sound real tempted. But
I mean, he's interesting. He's not he's not a guy that you're going to go out of your way for, but he's 6'4", 210 and made some plays down the stretch for the Giants.
If you're already rostering him right now, right?
Yeah,
he's a second-year player.
I think he was drafted in 2020. I think the Bills took him. Was it
2020? Yeah, 2020 6th round, 207. Yeah, he's interesting. I love those deep drafted guys, man. Zed, is Henry a sell for the 109? Maybe I can get the 105. Okay. Here's the thing, Zed. Yeah, I think you should get the 105 over the 109. But that's a bit of that's a huge swing, top 5 pick versus not a top 5 pick. Split the difference. I will trade Henry for the 105. I won't do it for the 109. Yeah, I think that's fair.
So I don't know. I don't think I'm trading Derrick Henry right now. I don't.
That's fair.
I don't.
No, I don't mind that at all.
I would be okay taking the 109 for Derrick Henry because I think even during the season and the playoff run, you weren't getting the 109 for him.
No,
I don't think so.
I don't know. I gave up plenty of first round picks for Derrick Henry in leagues, but I think that my move with Derrick Henry now would be to trade him. For the future.
You wait till points are close.
Yeah. And again, I trade him for a 25 first and something.
I think we've given every possible answer to this question, so I feel like I should switch my opinion to give Zed a more firm idea. I think Zach's right. You don't do the 105 right now. You can probably get what you can probably get
the 105.
You can probably get what. Okay.
They traded Christian Kirk, a late second, and a 24 second for Derrick Henry in a third at the end of December 21st.
Yeah.
I mean that's not really even
but I wouldn't have I would not have taken that for Derrick Henry. I would not have. But I'd rather have the points.
Came in second anyway, freaking Brian Haar.
That is part of this equation. He's a running back, Zed. So if your team is
28-year-old running back who got hurt,
if your team is
freaking championships.
If your team's great, probably not yet. But if it's anything less than great, the 105 is a win. And Russ suggests that maybe even the 109 is. So maybe I'm a little low, but I think the 105 is a definite win. Hurricane Lane just came up. I think Hurricane Lane.
I think this is the same question. I think he just. What would you trade to move from the 102 to the 101?
He did call me Peter instead of Howard this time, though. So it's different. I really appreciate it. Stefan, are we holding on to Elijah Moore? I have actively traded for Elijah Moore. Feel somewhat like the idiot just desperate to hold the bag at this point. But I got him for a second and a third in 2 different years. And I think that's interesting value. So, yeah.
I think that's
Is that too much this point?
A second and a third is good for someone that we've seen do well. And we know the Jets are not going with Zach Wilson, so
maybe they got rid of their offensive coordinator, so maybe they're sticking with. Who knows?
things won't be the same.
Yeah.
So, like, you can make worse bets with a second than Elijah Moore.
Yeah, I don't mind that.
Back to our targets per route run conversation. He earned a target on 25% of the routes he ran and ran 28 routes per game in his rookie season. This year, he saw a significant drop in targets per route run, but I explained that with the context of, Zach Wilson and him apparently being mortal enemies. And so I still think the talent's there. But it's very much a second or don't do it, because there's a strong flaw here. The NFL can just give up a player or just not give him another run. Stefan, QB needy team.
No.
By Jordan Love.
No.
I honestly I thought that was an I for a second. Then I realized, no, Jordan Love still exists. For a second, goodbye low. I don't know. No. Zach said it 3 times. I'll say it 3 times. I don't think so. I got no interest. I'd rather buy Teddy Bridgewater or, Jimmy, one of those other guys who's proven they can be that filling quarterback.
I brought Purdy instead of Jordan Love.
Purdy, yeah.
Purdy can actually play.
Purdy. Get Purdy. He's also Purdy when you think about it. I am a dad. I'm allowed to do that. Baker Kid 2, 10 team 1 QB PPR start 10 roster evaluation, please. Kyler, Carr, Swift, Dylan, Gibson, Wilson, Watson, Cooks, Judy. What kind of Moore is that? DJ Moore, we think?
Probably.
Elijah. Wandale Robinson's really interesting.
Rondell.
I like Wandale.
Rondell's different. Schultz, Woods, Hooper. You got some issues, and not to be mean. I'm seeing a lot of high. I like Wandale, but he could be nothing by next year. Schultz is fine, but I don't expect continued greatness or nothing. Woods, is there a tight end called Woods, or is he just out of order? Oh, Jelani Woods.
See, I think you're in good shape because you have a lot of very young, good wide receivers. You have Kyler. You're gonna have to find a quarterback that'll get you a couple of games until Kyler comes back. But
Cooks, Judy, Moore, Wandale, Collins. That's not a lot of good young wide receivers. There's a lot of potential values.
Wilson, Watson, Judy, Wandale.
Oh, I was reading Wilson. I didn't think the quarterbacks had finished yet. Wilson.
I'm assuming that's Garrett Wilson, Christian Watson, Jerry Judy.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I see. No, you're right. I see Wilson, and then more again, where my hatred of Watson knows no bounds. I see a bunch of question marks.
Yeah, but you've got Watson as your
start 10. Move that up to go get Bijan, and you have a really good team. Or even not, trade one of the the 107 Kyler and the whatever to go get Jalen Hurts, and then package up some stuff to get a solid another running back. I think you have a strong team, but 10 team start 10.
Maybe I'm just more of a Debbie Downer. In fact, we know that for a case, but I don't see a lot of studs. I see Wilson. Wilson's a great wide receiver, but he's not Jefferson. He's not Chase. He's not Armand.
No. Young and talented. I never said studs. At least I didn't mean to. If I did,
that's what I mean. In a 10 team, there's just no one that's carrying you here. It's all just good, and that's fine. Don't let me sound too negative. All right, that's good.
This is a wonderful start.
Anyone carrying you.
So
anywhere,
Peter, to your point, then what I would do with this team is I've got 3 firsts. So add a first to Christian Watson.
That's kind of where I was going.
Try to get up into the next tier. Add a first to Schultz and try to get up into Kittle. Add a first to AJ Dillon or Gibson and try to get up into another running back. I mean, even again, and I keep saying this, but it's Breece Hall is a target for me because he's hurt and people have forgotten how good he is.
Yeah.
Even Najee Harris is a target for me. I think he's running back 13 or 14 right now on DLF, and you just saw him have a down season, a bad season on a bad team, and he was still, right in the mix as a running back. So I expect that to get a little bit better. I know he's inefficient. I know the metrics crowd hates him, aside from Peter, but I think that's he's a guy I'd go get. So I'm kind of like walking the tightrope between the two of you guys, but I think that plussing that up is the way to go, and you've got enough ammunition there, Baker Kid, to get there, to make some hay.
And to be clear, like Russ is normally more right than I am, and so lean that way. I just like to play devil's advocate and point. And I don't like shiny things. I like fiery things. I like things that make that like fiery, and also set other people's hair on fire because I don't like them quite that much. And so my tendencies in that, like having a just good solid team across the board, is in no way a bad thing. It's just, again, you're asking my opinion. My opinion sucks, but there it is. So yeah, Russ is right. I do like Zach's approach here, though. Add to some of these players and try and go up. I think you're in a good position to do that, and probably keep one down. I think he's a little misvalued. I like the potential there. I just want fewer question marks. Sammy S. 10-team Superflex PPR. Start 10 quarterbacks: Josh Allen, Watson, Lance, JT Swift, Dylan Cook, Khalil Herbert,
JT Swift,
Olave, London. Oh, these wide receivers. Jesus, some of these teams make me kind of,
And the 102, 103, 104.
I clench a little bit. I'm like, I'm hoping I don't play them. Pitts and Njoku, don't. I love it. I said it right earlier. I can do this. That's a great tight end run. Thank you. And also the 102, 103, and 104.
Love it.
Go get. Yeah, this is another go get Bajan team. Like, take the 102, add Swift to it, just go nuts. Like max. That's the max you would offer. And try and get up to that 101. Right?
Yeah. I mean, I'd start with a 104 or the one, like, but yes. Actually, you know what? Start with the 102. I don't care, because I'm going to draft those the wide receivers anyway. So, yes, start with the 102. Whatever.
I will see, Sammy, one little asterisk, which you always have to apply for yourself when we forget to. If in your league, it's pretty likely that someone's going to take a quarterback because it's a super flex, like, you don't have to trade up. Like, the reason for doing it would be you're not getting the running back one otherwise.
Right.
So that's what I'm targeting with this. Zerk, here we go. 14-team half-point PPR, 1 QB, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, 1 flex. Yep, and 1 tight end. Mahomes, he already has Bijan Robinson. I'm assuming he's just writing that in. Like, by the way, this is happening. That's awesome.
Yeah, he is down. If you get down to the bottom, 101, Bijan.
That's what. Yeah, just writing that in. Just pencil that one in pen. Okay, roster evaluation time again. Tight end is obviously your only real strong weakness. And there are some interesting tight ends right now. Does anyone else feel that way?
Yeah, I mean, I like McBride, Ertz. I like that kind of combination there.
Jamal Johnson was
McBride,
doing really well.
Yeah.
Yeah, he shows up with strong touchdown regression. I was just looking at that. But yeah, he was doing really well. Touchdowns, Matt. Touchdowns are a skill too. Kelsey, right? Kelsey's going to be the discount highest upside tight end at the position. I think this is a team that could do pretty well targeting him.
To me, the Kelsey Kittle are the 2 tight ends that are being supremely undervalued right now.
Yeah, I'll take the L on the whole Kittle thing. Like, he got healthy and then he started killing it. Like, I was sort of done.
And I think that's where we're going to be with Andrews too. Like, I really think like, Andrews got a knee injury and a shoulder injury, and everyone got mad. And it's like, he's good.
I think what we're saying here is your roster is strong enough. You should be targeting them points. Tight end's your weakest position. Andrews, Kittle, and Kelsey, whichever one you can get at a really good value. That's the guy I would target.
Something first. I hate. You don't have to do anything right now. Like, you have a strong team with really high picks.
That's
flex for a while.
And
the second you get closer to the draft, you are going to get some crazy offers, because people are going to see your team and they're going to be like, let me get those picks because this guy's team's going to be good for a bit. So let me be that next one. Yeah. So don't go crazy. Sit and wait and watch other people, spin their wheels a little bit. Like your team is very good.
Like, I think if hang on,
okay, I'm sneaking in. And Russ, that's one of the. So to me, there are three different. When you look at your team and you are honest with yourself, you're either completely rebuilding, you are restocking, so you're adding pieces here and there and trying to maintain, or like what you said, you're just sitting back, relax, put your feet up, smoke them if you got them, enjoy that roster. And I think that, I mean, you're pretty close to there. I mean, I like what Peter said about adding a tight end, but man, that's a really good team.
Yeah,
I think for really a little worse, we'd be like, oh, you got to trade Keenan Allen away because he's old, and that was his last good season. I sincerely don't think you can get anything of value for one of the best wide receivers to be drafted over the last 10 years. So I think we're just keeping him. But just in case your league is not myopic dynasty, like, sure, maybe, but I think you're keeping Keenan Allen at this point.
Keenan's game has nothing to do with age. He will be bad when he decides to stop
it's
playing.
Injury. I think Judy looks like the only thing I'm sitting here like, he's young, he's good per route, per game. I mean, that's all awesome. I think there's probably upside at this point, the way we think about Wilson. But like, if you could switch Judy over to Burks.
What
that's
do
the
you
only other
think,
thing that stands out to me.
Wait, say that again, Peter?
Judy for Judy into Burks right now? You're going to have to add, obviously, but
I got offered.
That's a guy that's young, good, but I can get an upside, bro. Young, good guy.
Hold on. I want to pull up what this actually was. I got offered, I believe it was Burks for Judy and a third. I had Judy, and someone offered me Burks for Judy and a third. And I said, I think Judy's worth more right now. Like, he was really good at the end of the year on still a very bad offense. Like,
I think he's a good player. Don't get me wrong, but I think
this
Burks
is what
a good player.
Out of Judy, he's showing it, but that team is so bad, it might not be catching on with people. So honestly, I hold Judy at this point.
I go for Burks. But I mean, at least I'm in the right value range there. It's an idea, depending on what you think of either player. Because if you're with Russ, I completely don't blame you. Right? He's not wrong. Personally, I would lean the Burks side. It's interesting. Okay, where are we? Yes, sir. That was rude. Stop it. Andrew A., with your most recent drop on second-year wide receivers, Tyquan Thornton is an interesting one, wide receiver in New York. Does he fit your model on progression? No, it's not really a model. Like, if you want a really great model, like genuinely hard, if you want an actual model that ranks players better than I can probably do, it's Adam Harstead, and he's out there dropping his free information on what his model says. He's put a lot of work into it. It's better. He is better than me. And yeah, that does hurt to say. It does hurt to say that I'm not as good as one of the best people in this game at this game, because that's how arrogant I am. And I'm really just stalling. Let's see. Tyquan Thornton did stand out to me a little bit. He had 79.5 routes per team pass attempt. And I know everyone's arguing I should just look at the numbers that they like, but like, that's an interesting one. It means he was heavily involved in the offense when he was involved. And that's interesting for a player where he's at. He's someone that Zach pointed out as a rookie draft was someone with a unique skill set that New England would like. And I do remember that as well. Only a 61% snap share, but a 16% route participation, which is about average for those elevating target share. He sucked at targets per route run. So all those people who like that metric are going to like it. I think he was heavily involved when he was involved. Only 11% target share. I have concerns. He was highly drafted, and I think that's just a New England thing. At his current, he's worth a third. He's worth a shot, honestly. He can have a game or two at least raise his value. I think he's interesting, but it gets into the same conversation on an even smaller sample size. Even though he played 12 games, I don't know. Zach, you were the one who had an opinion on him when he came out. And I presume you watched New England a little bit. Did you see anything that Andrew should know?
Again, like it's you're still hoping on Thornton. He didn't do anything in his rookie year where you were like, that's it. But every now and then he flashed. What really needs to happen, which is wild, New England's offense was just abysmal this year, which is weird because they put a defensive coordinator with no offensive experience in charge of their play calling. So you would think it would just go completely swimmingly. But
I will say Jacoby kicked ass. Jacoby is under he had a kick-ass season, and we should mention that more. And he's also a free agent, and I don't know what New England's going to do about that.
He should have. Well, they have $50 million under the cap. They probably can take care of him if they want to.
They should, but
they won't because it's the Patriots.
but he definitely flashed. What they really need, the way they need to use him is the way they use him in the red zone, which is on really quick slants and letting him get open with his quickness and then utilizing his speed. Like they did that in the red zone. They need to do that the whole field because like what Tyquan Thornton is really fast with the ball. And what Mac Jones can't do is throw the ball really deep to get him the ball going fast. And so they need to run him on slants to get him the ball and let him be fast. And Mac Jones can do that.
Here's a name from the past, and he played. I don't think he was that fast, but Brandon LaFell on the Patriots. Do you think that's a fair mid-range outcome?
I think Brandon LaFell probably saw more target. Like Brandon LaFell had a wide receiver one.
That's what I mean. Like he was undervalued, but also he wasn't very impressive.
In my big rebuild in my home league where I targeted the 2017 class, Brandon LaFell was part of one of the trades I made to go get a 2016 second and a 2017 first. Like that's like he was that good for a season where like people thought he was going to be a thing. It will.
That's what I mean though. Really, could he have the same, like that's his upside range for Thornton? Because I don't expect him to become, better than Brandon LaFell, but he could do things. And LaFell, you see what I mean?
Yeah, and I think his role would have to change a little bit to accomplish that. But I also think that he has the skill set. So we talked a little bit yesterday about like Christian Watson and his role, and I said I think his role is maxed out because what he does is go down the field real fast. But that's not necessarily all that Tyquan Thornton does. I know he doesn't do it as well as Watson, but like he's got multi-facets as opposed to being just a burner. And they used him mostly as a field stretcher this year. And
I just get stuck in my fantasy brain. Again, I'm not a real football guy, so I get drastically different on the field. I was just thinking, could he be that kind of fantasy thing?
Yeah. And again, like they used him down the field. So like you're looking at like yards per reception and that sort of thing, and he's catching the ball downfield in a lot of games, and that's not Mac Jones's game. And I think that it's really underselling what Tyquan Thornton's skill set is, but it's what the Patriots need, and that's the frustrating thing about Patriots players in general is Bill Belichick does not care about your fantasy team. He is doing what makes his team better, and oftentimes it's not helping what we do. So,
all right,
he's interesting. Yeah.
Because Eric also says he has Higbee at tight end, and I like that a lot because it's more to package up to try and get Andrews or Kelsey or Kittle, because Higbee can be interesting to people. He's fine. So yeah. Genji, hey, welcome back, bud. I want running backs. I just don't want to pay for them. That's like life, right? Like I want things. I just don't want to give things I have. Yeah, I appreciate you, man. Stefan, you said QB not that big of a deal in one QB for sure. Tell me more, expand on that. I'm in a 10-team 2 QB start 12. Who said that? Who said it? Oh no.
It's just supply and demand. I mean, that's all it really is. You know, the more teams that need a quarterback, the more valuable they become. So when there's only 10 teams, and here's the very big difference. Superflex and 2QB. 2QB, they are absolutely more valuable because
you
need 3 starters, otherwise you're taking a 0. At least in Superflex, if you only have 2 quarterbacks, you could just put a wide receiver in your Superflex position. So this doesn't really apply to you because you need 3 starters. So they will be more important. But in level of quarterback, I think it doesn't matter as much as well because positional advantage shrinks when there's less teams. And once you get past Allen, Mahomes, and Hurts, I think are the 3 at this point. You know, maybe Lamar and Kyler come back and do what they used to do when they get up there too. But like, once you get past those difference makers, there's tiers of 10 players that score around the same points, which is why you hear Zach just talk about Kirk Cousins all the time because you pay a lot less and he scores the same as a lot of these guys. Like,
well, yeah. This year in regular quarterback scoring, Kyler Murray 18.9, Geno Smith 18.7. This is points per game. Dak Prescott 18.5, Daniel Jones 18.4, Tua 18.4, Trevor Lawrence 18.3, Kirk Cousins 18.3. Like that's all. Like that whole glut of quarterbacks. Like there's no difference. There just isn't.
Yeah, I agree. Carl's 10 teams who flex offered the 104 on the 24 first and a 24 second for every QB 5 to 10 owner. Herbert, Lamar, Trevor, Kyler, Dak, solid list.
Yeah, you're too
0 interest. Yeah. Would you add another first to get one?
What do you do when everyone overvalues that position? Go get Kirk Cousins. This is the exact same conversation. Yeah, you use those picks for better things. Go upgrade every other position and then start Kirk Cousins and Jared Goff and go win a championship.
I like that. I like that strat. ZT12, my earlier comment was because I thought the episode was for roster evals. Yeah, I figured it out. Sorry, I forgot what I titled the episode. You're good, man. And you can do that anyway. Like, it's fine. You are never in trouble around here. I suck at fantasy football. I just took over an orphan team.
Same.
Same. And joined my first Superflex league yesterday. Congrats, man.
Sweet.
My other Dynasty league is a 1 QB, start 8. It's a really trim roster.
Oh, wow. You took a jump. Good for you.
So players' values are very different. Yes. And you're already ahead of the curve if you recognize that, right? It's all about
good for you. Yeah.
And made my first trade today with the orphan team. Gave Lance, Mooney, and Wandell. Got Lamar.
I like that.
I like that. I'm not even the biggest Lamar guy. I like that.
I have Herbert and Jones as my other quarterbacks.
Solid.
Did I give up too much depth?
Nope.
No, not when you're hitting that top tier, especially.
Even in a start 11, you probably won't be very thrilled starting Mooney or Wandell right now. So, because you can build a team to where those 2 guys wouldn't make your starting lineup. So it's not really.
Yeah.
It's really tough to gauge what that I need depth means for a while. So you see these guys like Wandell and Mooney and all of these wide receiver 3s and 4s, and you're just like, I need them on my team just in case. Like, you really don't. I usually don't have more than 1 extra player beyond starting limits. Like all the Trinetics leagues are start 10. I usually have 11 good players on my team, mostly because I hate making start-sit decisions because I'm terrible at them. So I don't give myself a decision. So I like having Mooney and Wandell on my team because that's the one guy I start if I have to. But otherwise, no, you don't really want that. So you did not give up too much depth. You want players, depth of good players. Wide receiver 3s and 4s they're okay. but this is what you use them for. You use them to go get Lamar Jackson. The end.
Suck at fantasy football, my ass, dude. You're doing good. Ryan Harvey, 10-team superplex, right? Half-point PPR, 5-point per passing touchdown. That's kind of unique. I don't think I've seen that before.
I wonder what interceptions are.
Kind of premium start 11. Herbert Watson, Breece Hall, Devontae Smith. You're winning. And Drake London and Treylon Burke. I like this team. Watson's interesting. That's the thing. Like Watson, compared to all the bad examples I'm throwing out, Watson had a better season than most of them. And as a QB, as a wide receiver 5, that's awesome.
This is a great young team.
He just the 1, the 4, the 6, 8.
Yeah, you draft players and call your team elementary because they're young, my dear Watsons.
I like that a lot.
You give me control real quick so I can mute Zach. God damn it, Zach.
Now he's a lad. This is a dad zone. What should I
prioritize anything?
You should prioritize the draft.
Yeah,
extorting honestly, who try to trade for those picks. That's
if
what
you're sitting here like I need to make my team better.
Schultz,
go get Kelsey. Go. I mean, like Kelsey. That's all you have to do right now.
Yeah.
You just go
to.
I mean, you could maybe take some shots at the Najee Harris that we mentioned, but like you're gonna need to prioritize it. You're gonna get Bijan Robinson. You're fine.
Bijan Briggs is like a dream running back stable.
I mean,
like, go get Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Jalen Waddle. Like that's all you could do right now is take like the 104 and Drake London and see how high you could go at wide receiver.
And to be honest, while it is fun to crush, not just beat your friends, like you could also run into traps because we don't know the future. Like I wouldn't prioritize anything apart from maybe, like you said, Kelsey, Andrews, Kittle, and you don't have to send extortionate offers for those guys. You know,
now that the season is over, you can probably get Kelsey for a decent price because people are dumb. So
he's old.
Yeah,
really old.
And again, like it's a start 11, so. I don't think that and especially tight end premium, like, yes, I'm going the Kelsey thing. My draft picks, I want to make those picks because I think you can make your team even better. So you got Bijan, okay, and then 104, 106. Imagine adding Jordan Addison and JSN. Like if the board falls that way, like holy cow! All of a sudden, this team is. Good for, the foreseeable future.
Yep. Brian Ricks, 10-team 1 QB, trade Pickens, 204, 209 for Tyreek Hill or Adams.
Hill.
Either. But Hill, yeah. But either. My wide receivers are AJ Brown, DK, T. Higgins. I won't tell you can have too many wide receivers, so this is fine.
Yeah. Like if you have a crappy league where it's like you have to start 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, and you only have like 2 flex. I mean, that sucks, but like you don't pass up on having AJ Brown, TK, T, London, and Tyreek Hill on your team.
Yeah.
Phil, 12-team 1 QB half-point PPR trade. Darren Waller, the 106, 107 for Mark Andrews and the 112. Yes. I think I would do that. I also have the 104 and the 105. Some of my core pieces are JT Swift, Brees. Show off. Burks, London, Smith. It's like they've been listening to someone giving them good at this. Probably not us, actually. I'm going to shut up. Yeah, I love this team. I would definitely do that trade in that situation.
Oh, no. If you go down 2 comments, Peter, Phil definitely listens to you. Sorry.
I deserve that. Gary, trying to get the 101 for my 103. Solid move. Ridley in the one. I would keep Ridley.
Oh,
but I do.
Yeah, if you can get the 101 for that, that's amazing because that is not enough for that move. I mean, the 103 in 2 seconds should not be enough to get the 101. So more. Hopefully, that person isn't watching us right now.
I want to keep Ridley, but Russ is right. If he accepts that deal, I think that's good.
Worth it.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I take the running back one over the wide receiver, whatever, 15, 12. Like, yeah.
What if Lamar leaves Baltimore for Andrews? What does it mean for Andrews if Lamar leaves? First, the team needs to be boiled down into its constituent parts and sold off to the highest bidder. If they do that, like I can't imagine a worse thing to do. But I'm not a coach and I'm not paying the money, so it's up to them, I guess. I don't think it matters nearly as much as his value might shift. Andrews is getting targets because Andrews gets targets, and I think he would continue to get targets. But I do appreciate, like Lamar down to Zach Wilson, the bottom of the barrel, matters. Don't get me wrong, but I still think Andrews is a top 2 tight end in Dynasty, and I'd value top 2, 3, and I'd value him there.
This is the reverse corollary of. Oh, Brady had Gronk retired. The Patriots bring in 2 journeyman tight ends that are obviously going to be Hall of Fame tight ends because Gronk was, and it's not. It's that Andrews is a great player. Gronkowski was a great player. Andrews is still the best target on the Ravens.
It made me sad because I did like Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith, but to think that they were going to be.
The Patriots owe them $36 million
That's
gross.
I'm not sure Bill Belichick cares about our fantasy team, but he doesn't care about the
Kraft's money.
He just he cares even less about Kraft's money. Real Misfit Toys. He's got his yacht. It's fine. 12-team PPR Superflex start 9. What side you on? My side.
The right.
I get it.
As I'm looking.
Jamar Chase and DeAndre Swift, or Tyreek Hill and Saquon Barkley. Chase. I guess
it is. Oh, it is.
Swift and Barkley can probably end the seasons with the exact same score for the next 2 years, and I wouldn't be surprised. 2 years down the road, if Tyreek is keeping up with Chase, I'd be a little surprised.
Yeah, that's fair. I'd trade Swift.
Yeah, obviously.
Take the Chase side and trade Swift. But yeah,
you're trading for Chase and a thing you want to trade. It's fine. Trick Crown. Good. Well, congrats on the Trick Crown. 10-team half-point PPR Superflex start 10. Watson, Lamar. No one at running back. I feel you, man. Waddle, Burks. I love London. I love everyone restocked on wide receiver this year. That's what I'm taking from these questions. And then Njoku and Pitts are solid too. The 103, the 105, the 201. Do you think I should tear down Waddle? Cooper Adams asked me, or we got to talking about this a week ago. Like, I'm so used to being trade for Waddle, but he's now there.
Yeah, but he's scoring like he's there. That's the thing.
Thing is, again, it's like what I said about Jefferson earlier. There's no up. Like, he's there. And so I get the logic, but like, what do you want? I really only break those players apart if I'm building, and your team isn't. Like, I mean, I guess if there's someone really undervalued, if you could, but you've already got Burks. I was going to say Burks and Najee Harris, but like you've got it. I mean, can you get the 101? Maybe. But it depends on the trade. There's nothing wrong in exploring it, but you want a lot for Waddle, okay? Or you just keep Waddle. Like, you can trade anyone, but like it's extortionate what you would want for Jalen Waddle at this point.
But like right now is about value. Tearing down from a stud usually won't, unless you get insane value, which is a possibility for Waddle, but probably not enough to make you really feel good about it. Like I don't think that's the move to do right now. That's the move to do if you're worried about points, which you can't be right now.
I would say points are cheaper this time of year, but not right now. Like, wait a month and points are cheaper, if you know what I mean. And so you might get drastic upside. But Russ is right. Yeah, Russ is always right. I hate Russ because he's always right.
I hate myself.
For running back. Yeah. And this goes to his point here. Like, you don't need to start running backs yet. They're going to become cheaper and cheaper. Or easier and easier to trade for as people become less and less dependent on starting them. Around the draft, everyone's going to be excited about rookies. So the Breece Halls and Najee Harris's and the other running backs all get a little easier to get. So, yeah, it's fine to search for running backs, even for trading Waddle. Just long as you're getting that value. Like, Devontae Smith on the 108 isn't enough. It ain't it. And I love Devontae.
And you also just don't have to fill out your roster right now.
Yeah.
Well, and the other cool thing about the 2023 class is there are a lot of running backs in it.
A lot of them.
Yeah. You got 3 picks that could be running backs.
So, yeah, it's okay to explore it, but don't lose your head. There's no need to tear down from Lamar and Waddle, especially with your team situation. So, play the offseason. You're good. Debo's a really interesting question. What's he worth in Superflex in 23 picks? Where's the line for you? I don't know. I have a question off the top of my head, so I was hoping one of you did. Nothing less than the 105. I can tell you that straight off.
And I am not paying that at all.
Yeah. I don't think most people would. Okay. We don't know, Denji. I think he's just a hold at this point.
He is, because his ADP will always stay high, but his trade value will always be low.
Yeah, people will be reticent to trade for him because of McCaffrey and Kittle and Ayuk, which is a weird thing to, But
there is something to that, right? If that's and it is, you might find an owner who wants to trade Debo, wants his value, but no one's going to get. So you might find a good trade on Debo because of that.
Yeah.
But straight off the rip, I have to assume you're not. But if someone's like a late first for Debo, like I'd give a late first for Debo, easy. Sorry, I know rookies and all.
The answer is yeah, you probably should, because even how much I hated him, he still finished as a top 24 wide receiver this season. But I just think there's better things you could do with it.
That's fair. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. That's all we got. What's Wando's value worth in a Superflex? A late second? Yeah. Late second.
Yeah.
That's where I'm like, ooh, but okay. Jeremy, 12-team Superflex tight end premium. Deshaun Watson, Trey Lance, Mixon, Walker, Gibson, Jamar Chase, Waddle, Wilson, Traylon Burks. Got a lot of, again, everyone retooled wide receiver this year. Donovan Peoples-Jones, trade him. Just straight up trade him for a second. Gallup, he's a second, but I'm still keeping him. Austin Hooper, no 23 first. Tight end. Tight end seems like a really solid move for these teams where you've already reloaded at wide receiver. Running backs are going to kind of be flowing this season. I'm okay trading Walker and Mixon right now at their values, and you can get a tight end and add a draft pick to grab a new young running back. That's where I'm at with this team. Yeah. Everyone's just agreeing with me now because I can see the end. And I can see my bed just at the end.
Oh no, Peter, we're still like an hour and
we are real far back.
Oh, yeah. My thing just reloaded. Jesus.
But there's no way I'm making it to the end of this tonight.
That's fine. Don't worry.
I get another 15 minutes to all the beautiful people in the chat.
That's fine. CJ, 10-team, 2QB Superflex League have the 102, the 103, the 104. It has these picks. The guy with the 101 wants the 2 and the 4. Should I pull the trigger? Yes, we already gave that valuation earlier. The 2 and the 4 is fair for the 101, right?
Wants the 102 and the 104. Yeah, why not?
Yeah, I'd rather have Bijan.
Especially since you've got other picks, so you can take your shots down there too. Do I pick Bijan Robinson at the 108? Yes, but let's wait till the draft to make the pick. But yes, or trade back to the 105. The only reason to trade back is if your team is so bad, you just need to keep adding, and you would need a lot to trade back from the 101.
My team has been horrible the past few seasons. I have a solid team with Garrett Wilson, Bateman, Judy, Mack, and Stevenson. But you need a lot to move off. The difference between the 101 and the 105 in a startup is probably going to be about 7 rounds. And we're talking like from a middle to the end of the first round where Bijan is going to go. So picture what it would take to trade into the first round from the 6th. That's
he's going to be the running back 1. He's going to be a first round pick as soon as he's drafted in the NFL. So
you need studs among studs to move back. Just those 4 spots.
GP, which might be my favorite name ever. I'll get back to you. 12-team 1 QB PPR. Here is his roster. Trade Walker to get a top tight end premium. You need a plus. You need it. There is no tight end right now that you should be targeting that you shouldn't get a first round pick with. You want first round picks added to them because Walker's value is insanely too high. I like the move, but just to be clear, you want Kelsey in a first for Walker, and that's going to look bad in a trade calculator. And I would do it. Yeah. I was just
1,000%. I love that move.
Trick Crown. Also, what is your general opinion on Waddle?
We all love him.
He's a guy right behind Kelsey, Chase, and Jefferson for me. We're just carrying his water at this point. He's awesome. Local liability, 10-team 1 QB PPR. What's good value to offer if I want to move from the 103 to the 101, the 104 to grab Bashawn? Like you have to add another early first round pick this year. It's kind of where we're at. GB, same team, stacked at wide receiver, thin at tight end. Yes, we went through this. Yeah, if you want Pitts, I would offer Walker for Pitts straight up. I want Pitts, and I would give them Walker. Does that seem fair? He's the one guy at the top tight end position that I think you don't get a plus with.
Yeah,
and I would do it. I would love to do that.
All right. With the way Pitts is falling and the way right now people are thirsting for running backs, I think you might be able to you get that done straight, but I think you might also be able to get a little bit on top just because
add a second, see what they say. Yeah. Be willing to take it off. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
FF Lefty jumping in late. Hey, buddy. If you go another hour after I post this comment, I'll catch up on times 2. Fair enough.
Lucky for you, it's only been 50 minutes.
Yes, it's a race.
And this one we just talked about, Debo.
Yep.
Ryan, okay. If anything I ask is answered in your first hour, please forgive me. How many players would you trade the 2023 101 for? I think we got to 7, 8 players, right? Straight up.
My answer is still I don't want to trade.
It gets a little bigger. Yeah, don't, but that's roughly the count. Say Master Pro, don't know if you get here. We didn't either, but since you said I could ask as many as you want, man. Is giving Pickens for the 101 for Olave a good trade? Pickens for 101 for Olave.
Yes, Pickens and 111 for Olave. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Tymo 821. I remember Tymo. 10-team half-point PPR start 9. Jamar Chase or the 24, 25, and 26 first-round picks. 3 first-round picks for Jamar Chase, and that's fair value. And where they're so far in the future, I feel like you're winning a little bit with that.
Yeah.
FF Lefty, Waddle or the 101? No, 101. No, I'd probably put Waddle over the 101. It's close. Waddle plus Cousins or the 101 and the 108?
The answer is the 101 and the 108. I'm like, Bijan is worth more than Waddle. I don't agree. I don't like it, but Bijan will get drafted above Waddle.
Right now, Jonathan Taylor's valued above Waddle. So, yeah.
Exactly.
Fair point. I was able to sell Shaheed in 2 leagues for a third. I haven't been able to sell Hodgins. I think a third's good for both sides.
Yeah, I think that's a win. And I like having the flexibility of having the pick rather than having a roster spot filled, because you can find somebody else that you might be able to get a third for. Look, free thirds for everybody, Genji.
Thirds for everyone. I like Debo. I think he's slightly undervalued. I think he's in a weird, like we say, he's in a limbo, and I like
draft-wise, he's valued highly. Trade-wise, he's valued lowly. And I love that we have one player that we can point to say there is a difference between draft value and trade value. Like, it's that one dude, and you can just be like, look, it's him. I wish we had
Trip Crown, I'm not sure what team we're referring to here. The last comment was also did Miami's offensive coordinator get fired?
No, they're in the playoffs, aren't they?
Yeah. I'm sorry. Oh, wait. Here we go. By Brissett. Brissett, where's he now?
He just walked off the Browns. He's not anywhere.
Yeah. I don't know. Sorry. Christopher Works, student. Hey, student. Half-point PPR, Devontae, Daniel Jones, Judy Hollywood, Trevor Lawrence. I can't see if this is a super flex. Trevor Lawrence, if it is easily your best piece. I love Hollywood. Devontae, Daniel Jones.
It's the Lawrence side, right? Devontae, Daniel Jones, and 2 seconds for Judy Hollywood, and Trevor Lawrence on a 24 first. Like, if this is super flex, it's and I assume
it's easily Lawrence.
It's the Lawrence side.
It's easily Lawrence.
As much as I like Devontae Adams, like it's you get Trevor Lawrence and a first and 2 serviceable receivers.
I was going to say, even if it's not, I still think I like it in that first. I think it's the Lawrence side. Trip Crown, a lot of these texts aren't showing up for me for some reason. I don't know.
Open your eyes. No, I don't know. Sorry.
Sorry if it's not working. Sorry. Are Tutu out, Terrence Marshall, and KJ Hamler worth holding a roster spot?
No. Maybe Marshall, but no.
I was gonna pony up for Tutu there, but no. Donovan Fink, 12 teams who flex PPR. Burrow, Tannehill, Mike White. That's fun. Willis, Saquon, Pacheco, Wilson, Higgins. Strong wide receivers, weak tight ends. Okay, great running backs was Saquon. And your quarterback 2 is a little weak.
That's what he said. Needs a QB 2.
Yeah.
You also don't need anything.
I think your team's strong enough. It's a tight end that's worrying me more than the QB2. I think you got enough to revolve them. Is Mike White going to keep that job? No, you're right. Target that QB2. What can you add to the 5 to go up and get one of these young rookie tight ends? Yeah, Debo in the 5. Go get a tight end. Go get a quarterback. Yeah.
And then I try to pair the 205 and the 208 and move up and take a tight end in. I mean, yeah, I guess. I don't know. I haven't watched tight ends yet, so I can't say that for sure.
It's meant to be at least one. People are going to go.
Yeah, it's Meyer is the
John Mayer.
Yeah.
I don't remember his name on him that.
I think it's
local liability. I look like many things, and I'm none of them. I
think it's Mike.
Nerd who likes
I love the phrase "connoisseur of the giggle leaf." That is amazing.
That's pretty cool.
And
Old Tovey.
Not gonna lie, of course, the first time I saw you rolling a cigarette, I'm like, all right, what's this guy doing? But like,
I get that a lot. It's
like
I wish I was that
right now with
interesting.
tobacco. And it's
not just killing myself with tobacco over here. Don't worry about it. Brian Ricks, 10-team, 1 QB roster eval. Herbert, White, Willis, Brees, penciling in Brajon as well. Gibbs. Oh, I don't know. Is he the 102? I don't think he
could be. I mean, he's not mine, but he could be. I mean, I don't mind Jahmyr Gibbs there.
Akers is a nice stash this offseason, I think.
Yeah.
Pittman, Ingram, and Chig. Wide receivers again, just no problems, no notes. These are good wide receivers. Tony, we should got rid of him earlier. I think I can make him run, guy. Yeah, I think this team is definitely looking to win in 2023. Especially considering what you expect to pick up with at least Bijan Robinson. That's pretty much locked in. It's 1 QB as well. Yeah. You should try to make a run this year, next year. Gazurk. Thanks, guys. Was an aggressive rebuild after a tough few seasons and just made a ton of value moves to turn it around. Good job, man. Seriously, it's not as easy as some people make it seem. So, yeah, you did a good job. Turn JT into 423 first. That's excessive value. Good job. And Gibson over the course of 3 moves.
Nice.
Chris K, appreciate the $5. We don't know where it goes, but when we find it, we will buy you a beer or something. Hi, guys. New listener. Love the content. Glad I caught you live. We are too, man. Sorry it took us so long to get here. You said this. Actually, that wasn't so bad. Half an hour ago.
Oh, great for us.
Yeah, I know, right? Look at this. Love the content. Glad I caught you live. Any general Dynasty Superflex startup draft advice? Specifically when to draft QBs and how many? I would first John Hogue, the Superflex Super Show. Honestly, give it a listen. He annoys the crap out of me. We don't agree on anything, but that's specifically what he does. And he plays well. He's got a specific. We like to disagree, but I
John is
say he's good, man. But you should listen. The other thing is quarterbacks are never cheaper than winning the draft. That is true. But I've got ideas on that. Outside of my tier 1 of quarterbacks, I heavily go wide receiver, and then I try to smash those discounted Kirk Cousins tier quarterbacks over ADP. It looks bad in the draft, but then after the draft and everyone realizes you can't trade them for that value because there's no others and they're not making many more every year, then that's how I try and take advantage of it. Yeah, I think that's typically basically the first thing I say about Superflex drafts. But seriously, Superflex Super Show, it's a fun listen, and they literally just talk about Superflex drafts, so it's always a good. It's DLF podcast, I think, still, right?
Yes,
so yeah, company man, look at me go. And Dynasty Outhouse here has a Trade Addict show. All his leagues are Superflex of some kind, so it's a good listen too. I hate for my advice to be go listen to these people. But like, I don't want to sit here for 10 minutes and have you jot down notes. So those two things are the only thing I would say. Quarterbacks are never cheaper than winning the startup draft, and you should try and take advantage of that in some way and keep up with good content that regularly go through value and moves that are potential. And that's the Trade Addict Show and the Superflex Super Show.
The trap you can fall into, the real question is this a league full of new people to Superflex, or are you joining a league of people that know it? If you are joining a league of people that don't know Superflex, you're going to listen to me, you're going to listen to Hogue, you're going to draft 16 quarterbacks and not be able to trade them because the rest of the people don't know how to value them. You need to ride along with the draft as it goes. Like that honestly,
very
be a newbie, be in 30 leagues for 30 years. That's the answer. You know, like you have to just see how it goes. You can't plan too much before. Like if no quarterbacks go in the first 2 rounds, drafting like 5 and hoping to trade them away, you're not going to get anything worthwhile because they're showing you how they value them.
That's actually part of why I go against John with his QBX. It's like you can say Jared Goff's worth a first, but no one wants to give you a first for Jared Goff.
Yeah, every league is its own little market. So that's really the dangerous thing, is trying to outsmart the people you are playing with. But the problem is they don't realize they're not smart. So they don't try and change. So like, don't go crazy, learn, but the problem is, and Zach points it out to me almost every damn Wednesday when I'm talking, that I talk about value, I talk about possible trades, and they're all in leagues I play in, and then Zach's like, no, not everyone plays in the leagues we play in, and I'm like, I know you're right. Shut up. Stop telling me I'm wrong, because even though you're absolutely right. Like,
don't you hate it when other people are right?
First, like, you have to play to the level of the people around you a little bit. You can be smarter and better, but you can't hold it over their heads because they just legitimately don't know, and it won't affect them until you win 3 years in a row.
You have to
build your good team. That's all you have to worry about.
You have to use that to your advantage. You have to use the fact that they're undervaluing quarterbacks to go get the top 2 or 3 quarterbacks and use that as a positional advantage. If you're in Superflex, if you have 2 of the studs, and Chris, if I have a top 5 pick, I'm going to take a quarterback. If I'm after the top 5 picks, I'm really thinking about my positional advantage with Chase and Jefferson. Like, I'm really thinking about that.
And he means top 5 pick as in everyone else is taking quarterbacks as well.
Right.
Like, because if you have the 7th pick, but the first 3 picks are wide receivers, he means the top 5 quarterbacks. Not.
Right. Yeah.
Just
sorry. Yep.
Yeah.
So.
Solid. Hopefully that's helpful, Chris. Thanks very much.
Pete,
I got
to.
If you've got to go,
I do.
You just check
I'll
out.
stay strong for as long as I can, Peter. I'm here for you.
No
problem. You all have real
guys.
lives and stuff, so it's fine.
I mean, but, all right. Good night, fellas. Good night, chat. I appreciate you all.
Have fun. Bye. Said JT for Najee and 2 first. I think that's an insane thing to ask for, and I would love it. Sent Najee for Dalvin and a first. Solid. Sent Dalvin for Gibson and what is now the 101.
So
Look,
wait, you turned JT
trading
into Gibson and 2, 3, 4 firsts.
Yes, he did. My man. Mag,
you want
here
to
is a
my
roster
show? I got nothing after that.
Just
Holy
do that
crap.
every league. Like it's hard. Just do that every league.
Holy crap. Good for you.
Bunch of backups at running back. Feel you. I'm trying to find the rest of your roster, I swear.
There we go.
Mahomes, Trevor Lawrence, Ritter, How's interesting. Monty Jamal. I mean, trade Clyde Edwards-Helaire for whatever you can get at this point, man. Debo, we already talked about where he's an interesting guy. You're strong at wide receiver, but that's a competitive roster strong. And without, so either hit running back real hard or it's time to start shopping for value, if you know what I mean.
No, see, like, this is great. Your team's great. Like,
oh, yeah. Yeah, it's good.
See, I love this because you have a lot of picks in a very big area that I think people are going to want to claim their guy, you know, because like that, I think there's going to be larger tiers, in which case you might be able to move them around. But also, your weakest part is running back, and right now, running back is what counts the least, because running backs are all about points. So you have a top 2 quarterback, a quarterback in Lawrence that I think is going to work his way up into that 5-6 area over some time. Your running backs suck, but then you have AJ Brown, Debo, Amari Cooper, Keenan Allen. Like, that's a very strong core. And, you know, you have Andrews and Waller, and we saw that when Waller is healthy, Waller is still going to be good. So, like, you have a very good team. Maybe get some youth at wide receiver with those picks. Maybe throw the 108 and 110, try and move up to the 5 and 6 to try and grab, you know, Smith and Jigbo or Addison or Quentin, like one of those, the higher tier wide receivers. But maybe you do that when, you know, everything's on the clock and like you don't need to do that now. But yeah, I really like this team.
All right. Sober money, Jerry Judy and a 23 third for the 108. I think you're gonna lean Judy.
The value's the 108,
like
I think Judy will produce very well for the. Like it's hard to think that the Broncos offense is going to get worse. Like they were so bad, and Judy still found a way to do really well for the second half of the season. But still, the 108 is just more valuable. So if we're making trades for value, I take the pick.
Trying to get rid of Sanders and Hopkins this offseason. What range of picks should I get for them together? When you combine them, you might get a late first, early second. Like, people hate them at this point.
You are not getting a first for both of them. Maybe if you add a second to it, you can get a late first, which honestly I would still do. If I had a mid-late second, I would throw Hopkins and Sanders, get a late first and an early third, call it a day.
And to the
Go ahead. Sorry.
to the rest of your question, I think you honestly probably would be better off because packaging these two, no one's exciting about them. Players is not gonna. It's not the same upside. So adding a second to one of them to go get someone instead of a pick that you want you might profit better that way. Honestly, I think you would on average.
Probably.
Woo! Sitting at the 106, do I grab a running back or wide receiver? Really don't need anything. You don't need anything. It's who is a better pick at that place. What you have doesn't affect what you should draft. And then we default to Dynasty Outhouse, draft for value, trade for need. So that's literally how you do it. Brock Duncan, in a 12-team Superflex PPR, I traded Kamara, Jamar Hasty in the 209 for Antonio Gibson in the 202. I like that a lot. I prefer Gibson to Hasty, for the 202 to the 209, so that's solid. Yeah. I do not like this music I decided to switch it to. I'm going back to what's known.
It's weird.
Which is,
not gonna lie, I noticed
weird, right? I don't like it. Where am I? JJ Waddle, London Bateman. Woo! I like all those wide receivers. And again, what you have shouldn't affect who you draft on a rookie
at all.
Sober man, and don't let them like gaslight you into thinking that in trade conversations. Well, you don't need that thing. Be like, it doesn't matter. Like, you don't go into a store and be like, you have all this food. Why do you need to charge this price for this food? They're gonna kick you out like a crazy man. Sober money, Dynasty Superflex tight end premium, roster evaluation. Should I be focusing quarterback or tight end this offseason? There's no need to restrict yourself, but which one's first? Cousins and Wilson are fine. I don't know what's gonna. Yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen with Tannehill this offseason, but I think you're fine at quarterback in general. Your tight end is terrible, so I think I honestly, tight end looks like a little bit more of a quote-unquote need for you, especially where we've got so many. Kelsey's going to be a discount this offseason. So's Andrews, so's Kittle. Even Pitts, for the first time since the rookie draft, is finally somewhat reasonable. So I would think that. Like, you're okay at quarterback. But Russ is right. It's a super flex, so in general, that gets a little bit of a bump. We went through this one. My wide receivers are good to go. Glad to hear that, man. Lincoln was here. So he was. He left this mark. I am doing a Dynasty 12-team Superflex early startup. My team so far is Fields, 101, London, Devontae Smith. Oh,
wow. I love that start.
I don't know. I need to see the board. I know that's awful, Lincoln. But in the fourth?
In the fourth, I feel like Trey Lance is great value there. Mm-hmm. And I'm definitely taking Lance over the 105 and Jameson. Like, I'm not even the biggest Lance guy, just given every weirdness that has gone on around him and in San Francisco, but like, he could walk his way into a top 10 quarterback pretty easily just based on his running ability and the quick passing of that offense. Like, it. And you can afford a luxury pick because
you've done so well at wide receiver. That Devontae Smith value seems solid. It's what I was saying. What I think about Superflex, like, it's about to become the Geno Smith tier of quarterbacks real quick. So if you can sneak in a Lance before people stop panic drafting those mid quarterbacks, I would do
that. Just keep to youth in your draft at this point. Don't make a weird pivot into like really old players until like the 12th round. Like, build that young core and then go after the Thielens and Keenans and all of those guys.
This is probably too long of a question or an answer, but do you think in a draft people are more likely to be, I'm edgy, I like old players too, and then when they're on their roster, they get more nervous about them? I think that's the thing. So, go for the old guys after the draft, kind of thing. Jack Fenner, 12-team Superflex QB field. Here's a roster. What do you think of it? 101, 102, 106. You've got your wide receivers are fine. No problems. No notes are all good, but you don't have any of those stars. It's not a killer. Running back's terrible. I like Dylan.
Ramondre Stevenson was like a top 10 running back.
That's a good point. But I mean, his value's never
not great.
It's not there now. It's going to get worse.
Like, this is one of those teams that like people will dismiss, but then you'll end up making a strong playoff run.
It's mid.
And especially because with the 101 and 102, they're adding Bijan and Bryce.
Yeah, you're adding running back.
So they're absolutely fine at almost everything. And at 106, you can add what could be turned into one of those sub-wide receivers. Like, you have a very good team.
You do. I would heavily focus quarterback in this situation. I mean, Watson. We've been through it a few times this stream. It's upside, icky, but whatever. Daniel Jones was good this year. Justin Fields is in the middle of a conversation about whether he'll be traded or not, which probably adversely affects his value. But I think as the season wears on, that's where my focus would be on this team, because there's no downside into improving at quarterback.
Yeah, and I honestly don't hate
where
the
you're
idea
mid.
Of
that's where my mind goes.
Adding to Watson and either downgrading from Watson to like Lawrence, or upgrading from Watson to Hurts, or like aging down even a little bit and still getting better, because you do have a very good young core on your team. So there's no reason to and they will still score points. So you have any direction you want to go in, pretty much.
And then I go to tight end from there if you get that done, and then wide receiver. It's why I'm not going to go through it, but that's where my head would be at.
Yeah.
Correction, my team is slowly turning into a solid team. Okay, sorry, probably. Lincoln was here. In the same startup draft, there are an extra 1 point tight end premium. All the tight ends have been taken. When should I take a tight end? If you could, go.
Okay, so if we're talking I think you said you were in the 4th round, which means the top tier of Kelsey, Andrews, Kittle, Waller, Pitts, Goddard's probably gone. Like, what are you going to do? Go grab Dalton Schultz in the 4th? Like, I don't think it's worth going crazy, because when it comes down to it, you'll get Greg Dulcich in the 8th or 9th at that point, and you'll still be doing probably very close to the points of what Schultz is doing on a weekly basis. Like, if you don't get those top tight ends, which honestly, in a 1 point premium, I don't care if it's super flex, Kelsey comes close to the 101 for me. But besides the point, stream it, don't go crazy, don't overspend. Look what the rest of the draft board looks like. And when you get to that point of wide receiver 3s and 4s, maybe then you spend a little and go grab that Dulcich, go grab that random tight end that you won't feel great, but you'll still feel fine because you have an advantage at a few other spots, because people drafted Goddard in the 3rd.
Studs and duds at tight end, especially in a draft, man. You either go get one of those guys,
you don't.
You try and cram in a few McBrides and Ertzes and Hoopers towards the end.
Yeah.
And sure, maybe you like a commit like this year, or Dolchich this year. You can take a few shots at those, but don't overdraft the Schultzes of the world, because all the good tight ends are gone. Like, there are better moves in those rounds.
Yeah.
Carl's thoughts on the Green Bay backfield going forward. That's why I think Dylan's interesting. I think he might move, like Jamal Williams did, or something's going to happen with him. Or is it Aaron Jones that's on the? Either way, there's some change.
Jones is cuttable, but much more cuttable after this year. But it depends what happens. Like, if Rodgers goes away, who knows what the hell that team's gonna be anyway. So, like, I don't want any of that.
The Jordan Love era, which I get way too many questions about that, and I'm always surprised. If there's a Jordan Love era, it's going to be disappointing, and short-lived.
Jordan Love era, we're in trouble.
So bad for everyone, and yeah, like, I mean, I didn't see Geno Smith coming, so don't get me wrong. I mean, it's not like I want the kid to be bad. I just see little reason to be hopeful. Trip Cran, with the team I mentioned earlier. Yep. Gibbs at the 103, JSN at the 105, and some filler RBs in the 2nd. Can I compete?
if you are, I don't remember what your team was, sorry, but like if you're depending on these guys to produce enough to make your team a competing team, then you're probably not. Like you shouldn't depend on this for your team to be competing.
With those wide receivers, he might be. Two solid quarterbacks.
No, again, but like I don't think those picks have anything to do with whether he's competing or whether they're competing or not.
That's fine. Don't bet on it. I mean, running backs you can be a little more solid on, but you're not getting Bajon. You're getting more question marks.
Exactly. Like Gibbs will be very landing spot dependent. Like if he finds his way onto a very uncreative team, he might not be what we want him to be. Like,
but again, your team looked competitive as it was. I wouldn't be downhearted by that.
Yeah, at all. No. Like, that doesn't play into that, is what I mean. The two questions. I think you can compete anyway.
Donovan Fink traded Monty and Waller for Debo and straight up win. Awesome.
Oh yeah, like I don't everything I've said about Debo before. Like, yes, this is how you go get Debo. Like, and you'll be happy to play him. Yeah,
everyone just do this. And follow Donovan, apparently. He's got the goods.
Yeah, he's good.
And Trip Crown. I guess also, how do you feel about a Lamar tier down to Trevor Lawrence?
Love it!
That's a good move. If you can do that. If you can find a value difference between them in your league, I love that.
It is. I don't know what else to tell you. Like, they're honestly, not the same way. Like, Lamar is a very specific type of quarterback. That offense is a very specific type of offense. Trevor Lawrence is suited for a very open offense. Trevor Lawrence is very capable of running the ball. Like, and I'm not even talking like Aaron Rodgers. He's sneaky athletic at running the ball. Like, can legit run. It looks goofy because he's like 6'8" and has the flowing hair behind him. But like, I think when that offense gets better, he will be able to run the ball more, and it will give him that solid floor for his passing to give him the ceiling. So I'm not worried about that at all. I really believe in Trevor Lawrence, and I think Peterson was a great move off after Urban Meyer, because Peterson was always a quarterback coach. So I believe in Lawrence, and you can probably get a strong plus when tiering down from Lamar to Lawrence.
I think you need a strong plus. I think Trevor Lawrence is
you do.
Great top 12 quarterback. Lamar Jackson's had top 5 upside. I still think he does. Mm-hmm. But you've got age and a struggling team situation on both sides. Well, on the Lamar side, especially with the age. So I don't mind. If you get a strong plus, that's just like a solid dynasty move, you know?
Yeah, I agree.
Ryan! I have the 110 in a startup, and I picked Lamar Jackson.
What?
Don't hate it at all. That's good in a super flex.
Crazy that you
CDJT.
Again, even I take him, man.
AJ Brown are all on the board. In a super flex, yeah, you take that quarterback. I don't think that's a bad move.
110 in the startup. I picked Lamar Jackson. So I'm guessing this is his second pick on the way around.
Yeah.
I'm curious.
Do I have AJ Brown above CD?
Like, are you taking CD here? Like, do you like him that much that you're taking him above Jonathan Taylor and the 102 and AJ Brown?
I'm looking at my ranks. I recently went back. It's a difficult area. I can understand why you haven't quit. I think I do. I think it's AJ Brown or CD for me.
I think I'm with you, especially. Actually, no. I mean, starting with Lamar Jackson, you can go anywhere you want. But I think we go AJ Brown here.
Yeah, I have AJ Brown ranked there. Yeah.
Though I don't hate going the 102. Honestly, I just don't want Jonathan Taylor right now. So or Watson. I don't want JT or Watson. Anything else I wouldn't be sad with. But I think sorry, you don't want CMC this early either. CD, the 102, or AJ Brown. I don't think there's a wrong answer among the three of them.
Yeah, I agree with that. My ranks say AJ Brown, but honestly, I'm dithering over on the spot. As Brian, this is a good question.
Yeah,
I think I can cut it down to those three myself. Kind of throw a dot.
I think my order would be AJ Brown, the 102, CD Lamb, and I like CD Lamb over the 102, but I think push come to shove, like once the draft happens, you could trade like Stroud or whoever for CD, and probably get a little bit on top because it's a quarterback.
Value. So yeah, you're probably right. I probably have the one or two below CD, but you're right. You could trade that quarterback when he's drafted instantly for CD. So.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, that's a strong I think so. And of course, when you're talking specifically one player, it really depends who else drafts that player. But in general, I think so.
Timo, hit that like button, fellas. Thank help. I really appreciate it, Timo. Thank you. For the 202.
Yeah, his pick around back.
Yeah. Dynasty start at 12 teams who flex best balls start 12. Diggs or Olave? I actually have Diggs below the Wilson Olave right now. It's in a tier, but again, Diggs is the points, all the points for multiple years. Olave and Wilson are going to be good and valued. It's a team situation question for me.
Yeah, I think you go Olave, if anything else, because it leaves your team to be more flexible. I do think Diggs is great and will be great for another few years, but with Olave, you can do whatever the heck you want. That's purely all it is. Like, maybe if you drafted Dak in the first, go Diggs. But like if you kept with a 20-something-year-old quarterback, or if you drafted Justin Jefferson or whatever, go Olave. So like I think it needs to be very specific for me to be happy taking Diggs.
Same here. It's very much the team you're building.
But you're always happy to have Olave. So
and in a startup, you just lean value. But I really do think age becomes more of a burden to people rostering it than people drafting it. And so I definitely I'll like old guys more than anyone else after the draft. Anthony, trade away Saquon for the 202, the 212, 24 first, then trade away the 107 for Swift and Jelani Woods. 12 teams who flex tight end premium. I hate it. I'm just going to be honest with you. I want Saquon. I want Saquon. And I don't want to give him my first. But it's and probably...
trade away the 107. Okay. Keep Saquon and trade the 107 for Swift, and then play them both. And keep your 202, 212, and a 24 first.
In your league, that might not have been available, but your team's not bad with Swift. Don't get me wrong, so I'm not tanking you here, but I wouldn't have made the move. Marvin, I have Mahomes, Herbert, Fields, and in a 12-team super flex. I think you're a show-off, Marvin. Would you hold one or move to depth? I sincerely don't care about depth most often, but all these quarterbacks are really high up. Like Mahomes and Herbert, you're just keeping. By the way, Fields is a question, but let me restart this thought. I think if in your league Fields is valued where he should be valued, yeah, you can start investigating like a Lawrence plus or a Lawrence trade.
Or if I'm trading one of these guys away, I'm not getting another quarterback while I'm doing. Hold on, I'm just making sure that this is not in Trade Addicts 5 that he has these guys. No, it is not. Okay. Yeah. I'm like, I could not have let that happen.
Fields to bolster other positions very, very strongly. Yes, I would explore it, but I'm not panicking it.
This is honestly, find out who people want in your league and what you can get more for any of them. Like this, you will not be sad having any two of these quarterbacks. So do whatever the heck you want, whatever the heck you can get out of it.
I know where I have Dak. Oh, there he is. Andrew, 12 team, and if you have to go outhouse, it's fine. 12 team wants to be start 8. All right. Here's another roster evaluation. He has 3 late firsts in 2023. Strategy? Question mark.
Oh, I try never to do that.
It's a 1 QB, so
you got Josh Allen. You're set.
Allen.
Swift, Jacobs, Mixon, Brees.
I think I tried to trade Swift, Jacobs, Mixon for sure to bolster my wide receivers. Yeah. You and again, you're looking for Jefferson, Chase, CD, AJ Brown. You're looking for the best, okay? And you're trying to add Swift with a late first. to try and get one of them. You could even try and upgrade. Mike Williams has no value.
And
that's what I'm
be willing to throw in almost any of those wide receivers. Like mix it, like throw out Jacobs or mix in one of those late firsts and like Mike Williams, or like I don't want to get rid of Hollywood or Deontay, but if it means me getting Jefferson plus a depth piece in a start 8, yeah, all day. Like
you could also explore, and your league dependent. And a lot of my leagues, I'm not finding wide receivers without way overpaying because we're all the same mind. So I start exploring tight end. I don't think in most leagues you have to do that, but trying to upgrade Njoku to you're not ready for a Kelsey, so maybe a Pitts, but you don't have to do that either.
No, the thing is, I think he is ready.
I think wide receiver is
Kelsey, just because if he's rolling with those running backs,
that's a contending team. Yeah, so if you go in another direction and you're going to keep running backs, then you can start going for points.
Again, but like if you could only start 2 of those running backs, that's a little rough. The Jets OC got okay, good. That's good for the team. I don't remember who it was, but good.
Genji knows. I think we ended up there. We did all right. I'm trying to get the 107 for Debo and some change. Yeah, you need that change though. That's why Debo is such a hard trade away right now. I mostly roster him. I hope someone else feels this way, like they want to get rid of him. I don't know. Better Dynasty asset. I'm just going to leave it there. Like I don't think he's better than Diggs. Like flat out. But yeah. Thanks, fellas. No problem, Donovan. Thank you very much. Thirds for all. Everyone gets a third as long as Zach Reed's around. He does not care about them. Jack Fenner, 12-team Superflex QB. Let's see. Fields, Daniel Jones, Watson. Solid. I feel like we went through this team. It feels very similar to that other one with Christian Kirk at the top. Who do I target? Wide receivers.
I think we've talked about this team.
You like this team? Yeah, you like this team better than I did. I still think you start with the top of your wide receiver group and you're adding the 6 to one of those running backs or one of those wide receivers. I'm trying to get into some top tier wide receivers. While they're all solid, I like shinier or fierier wide receivers. Or you can go the tight end approach. That's where we came to. Fun watching Kadarius Toney last couple of weeks. Was it? I honestly don't know what he did. But I hope it was good.
Okay. It is my time.
Yes, sir. Thanks for joining.
Love you all. Mwah.
Bye. 71 yards and 18 yards. I'm assuming you're just saying it was fun to watch, but that's cool. Super helpful. Thanks a ton, guys. Appreciate that, Chris. Later, Zach. We've just caught up to Zach leaving. Awesome. In a league, I'm in with someone with Daniel Jones and David Blau. Won the title with Daniel Jones and David. Nice. Superflex. Justin Fields or Jamar? You can't trade a quarterback without getting a quarterback in return. If you should have the luxury of doing so, I want Jamar Chase. T-Law plus a 106 for Lamar. Yeah, I want the Trevor Lawrence side, and I think that's fair, though. I think that's a fair value. 12-team Superflex tight end premium start 10. Here is Pitts and Fairmouth. I love these tight end core, so we don't have a question there. Pardon me. It's a Superflex, so Mahomes, Lawrence, so you don't have many questions there. You have all the running back questions, so great wide receivers. You're good. You're actually perfectly set because this year's draft is going to bring with it running backs. That 101 is Bijan Robinson, and you're not only competing, but you're young with already proven good players, and you're going to add Bijan Robinson to it. Kick ass. If I was going to evaluate any of that, that means you still have room to move. And so I would be interested in diversifying into 24 and 25 picks. You don't need young players, but you could try and target some points players in season as well by spreading some of that later draft capital out. Having said that, I think there's going to be good wide receivers at the 105 and the 108 this year. So you have no pressure to do anything. Your team's really set up for 2023. And that just gives you all the options, which can make you feel like you have no options, and that sucks. But if that's Najee Harris as well, you're going to kill it this year, I think. And Hall, you're going to win in 2023, and you should do everything you can to make sure that happens. How do you guys rate the top 3 wide receivers in the 2023 class? Unfortunately, I'm the only one left, and I have barely looked at them. From what I know and briefly glancing, there's JSN, what's that other guy? Jordan. The one Zach mentioned is probably going to be the 101 with JSN as a 102. I think Quentin Johnson, I've heard a lot about. He looks solid to me. He doesn't look like better than JSN. And the other guy, Jordan fella, that Zach's mentioned a few times, does look better than JSN. I just had never seen him before because I hadn't had to profile that team. So those are probably the top 3. In Quentin, I've got the most questions. I've seen some really high ranks on him, and again, I haven't investigated this class a lot. But he's probably going to be inserted into the top 3 based on what I've seen. Noise around Twitter, as it were. But the draft is going to really matter for that. Lincoln was here. By all the tight ends taken, I meant Kelsey, Andrews, Pitts, and JT. Okay. Kelsey was drafted at 3.3. Yeah, that's tempting, isn't it? It's from a value perspective for me. I tried to make a trade and the guy wouldn't budge. I don't blame him. But that's rough, man. And Pitts is, especially in Dynasty, in the draft, I tend to lean youth and value anyway, because I think that gets a lot more touchy when it gets on your roster and you start thinking about the next year and the next year. And suddenly people's knees get weak at the older players. But that might be me just thinking less of people. Who knows? Lincoln was here. What's a realistic trade value for the 1? The few trades that we've seen that we thought was solid is like the 103 and the 104. The 104 and the 105. And if you have the 101, I honestly think I would rather draft, in most circumstances, Bijan Robinson, because I think the value is only going to get bigger from there. But again, there's a lot of maybes in that, and so if you're looking for value, that's solid. 101 draft day. Yeah, I think I answered that. I think I get it. And there are way too few people watching this on YouTube. Thank you, JJS. Like, hey, did you guys know you're way too unpopular? I appreciate it, man. Thanks very much. Appreciate it. We just like talking to you all. I try not to focus on how many or anything like that. Just good conversations about Dynasty. It's 12:30 a.m. It's past that, but thank you. Gary Russell, great show, fellas. See you next week. See you next week, Gary. 9:30 PST, even better. 11:30 CT. I appreciate all the time. Thank you very much. Thanks for everything. Really appreciate you, John, and you're welcome. But honestly, you're given as much as you're getting here. They're just opinions, and we honestly do just enjoy talking about Dynasty. So you're easily the equal part in this exchange. Tony Stingles. Okay, it's getting a little aggressive now. It's fine. Does London have a chance of taking over Wilson? Yes, actually. I want to say in front of Zach because he's got information I don't have. He's much better at player ability evaluating. Here's the thing. I think Olave crosses the threshold of having had one of the best rookie, like Wilson, Olave, and Wilson all had good, no questions asked rookie seasons. Now, you can still fail after that. We get bad seasons after that, but I don't think we can see it coming. The one difference from a usage or route participation or any other kind of view is that London has a much larger wide rate. Now, I don't preference that. I'm not interested in X or alphas or who's the most Calvin Johnson like. I think Wilson and Olave are great and rightly ranked over him because Atlanta was a mess this year. But London profiles as someone who could fill that role, and there is more upside to that role. Not more, you know what I mean, though. He could be that dynamic out front alpha wide receiver that people just love and naturally value over the volume leads a team, easily is as valuable to a team, but doesn't make as many one-hand catches or bully catches with contested balls. And London does have that upside, and they're easily in the same tier in terms of what they did this rookie season, in terms of their role and what we should expect from going forward. And so, yeah, there definitely is a path to London overtaking them. Yeah. I don't think you have to value it that way. But if you love London, go get London. If you're going to try and get one of the three at their value, honestly, yeah, I think London's probably the better one. Jordan Love or 223 mid-thirds. I mean, G-money, jeez. In a super flex, I assume there's probably other quarterbacks I'd send those 2/3 for, but sure, that's about fine for Mr. Love. Later, Peter. Thanks for the stream. Thank you. Appreciate it, man. Lincoln was here. A team I just won a championship with Fields, Tom Brady, I assume. Joe Mixon, Kamara, Zeke. Yeah, the old guys are running back. That was the key this year, I think. JJ Chase. Oh, Keenan Allen. I really wish I'd thought to mention Keenan Allen more. Even in season, I should have done that. Kelsey and Dolchich. Congrats, Lincoln. You did a great job. And that team's good to go for next year already. Like, you got value, you got young wide receivers. Killing it. Marvin, great show. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it, Marvin. Andrew Carlson, great stream as always. Thanks very much. Lincoln was here. It's an extra 1.5 tight end premium. Superflex 12-man league. What should I do? Blow it up? Try to contend? Oh, you mean actually this roster? I don't think you blow it up. Keenan Allen's, you roster him for points at this point, even if we're looking at the latter part of his career. Chase, JJ, literally the best wide receivers you can own in Dynasty for points and value. So, and I think Mixon, Kamara, Zeke, they still got a little more in the tank, but the value's low. And depending on what your picks look like, I think you can run again in 2023 without doing anything too drastic. We had some Fields conversations, and I'm more disquieted about Fields' potential than Outhouse is, but that's because I don't have a great way of evaluating quarterbacks. The kid was good, and he runs, and the team's not getting rid of him. I think that'd be insane to do that, but hell, again, I'm not paying the money, and I don't coach football, so I'm not going to make prescriptions that way. But no, I think this team's solid. I think you can make small moves, trying to improve, but I don't think you need to blow it up. Oh, you're talking to John Smith. I get to skip that. What's the most you would give up for Eckler? I think there are better targets at running back, but if in your league Eckler's undervalued because he's undrafted and he's old now, whatever you would give up for Alvin Kamara, I would be more ecstatic to give that up for Austin Eckler. I think that's a good comparison. I want Eckler more, but you're defending the title next year. You've got more here, so I'm going to read it. Would you rather have Hopkins or Adams? And what's the most you're willing to pay for said player for a contender? I think that's a separate question. Eckler. We might get out of here on this. So that's the thing. People undervalued Eckler going into the season because he's old, and we haven't seen a 27-year-old running back because people don't understand how production trends work, I guess, as well as maybe they should. Let's see. Eckler is going to be undervalued, surely. All running backs are going to fall in value this year except for Etienne and Walker, and the younger guys people are going to overvalue a little bit. Hall's really up there too. Eckler in last month's ADP is running back 7 already, 19th overall. It's a mid-second round pick. He's above Diggs, Olave, Cup, London. But again, this ADP is going to update, so that's too high already. Yeah, I just think there are better running back targets at value right now. Najee Harris is below him and younger and good, man. He's good. Breece Hall's way above him, so I can't default to that. Najee Harris is so low. 40th overall, running back 60. Again, last month's ADP. Alvin Kamara's down here. All right, that's a way of looking at it. to get Eckler, I might, if you really want to target running backs, try and find a wide receiver like Terry McLaurin. Top 24, good, but that 25, 27 years old. If you really want to target a running back that high up, that's probably the way I'd approach it. A Dameon Pierce, if someone's really excited about the youth of Dameon Pierce. But that's the kind of thing. I don't think you get Eckler for that. But those are the type of things I would, if you know what I mean. And I'm much more interested in like the Javonte Williams is in that actual value range, and that's a much better trade target for Dynasty. It is a good offseason target running back, so that's why I'm giving it the time. Sorry, I was just thinking that through. Would you rather have Hopkins or Adams? I'd rather have Adams. What's the most you're willing to pay for said player for a contender? I'd rather have Adams because Adams is significantly ranked above him. Because everyone thinks Hopkins is old and Devontae Adams is still prime when they're both kind of in the same place. So I'd rather have Adams because I can trade him for more. What's the most I would pay for them? On a contender... Again, there are better trades than both. A late first, if that's just who you got to have. And I think you can get away with an early second. Russ was talking about Hopkins' value earlier, and he's a better guy at value. And he was saying you'd be very lucky to get a late first. So I'd throw early seconds if you've got them, or that kind of value, and see if that team is in a position where they're looking for value or they're scared of his age. I think that's the range to go for. Thanks, Peter. Great show. See you next week. No problem, Lincoln. Thanks very much. I know the quality of the show kind of dies off when everyone else leaves, but I try and hold it up for as long as anyone wants to stick around. Really appreciate you, Lincoln. Local liability, 12-team Superflex suggestions. Kirk, Dobbins, Javonte, Singletary, Damian Harris, Elijah Mitchell, Jay Jets. That's got to be Justin Jefferson, and I just don't get it. CD Waddle. God, your wide receivers are great. Your running backs are suspect. That's my first impression. Bench of bums, as it should be. Dang it. 2 fourth-round running backs sold out 2 wins this year and got hit with injury. You did. I was just thinking about that. And when I was reading out, Javonte, Elijah Mitchell even seemed to be derailed by injuries. Dobbins, you really did. And my suggestion would be, you set at wide receiver, so you've got no panic. You've got a lot of need for running back, like every team, honestly, in Dynasty. And this is a great offseason for it. Javonte is the only hold. Every other running back, I'd be more willing to add and wheel and deal to either move up in the first round of this year's rookie draft and grab the stud or one of the stud running backs in this class. Outside of that, targeting Najee Harris, I don't think it's best necessarily to target running backs right now. This is something we don't often talk about. Well, I guess we've mentioned it. But like when you're playing in a league and we always say, it's a running back off season or target these players, people get tired. And also I think you can make it harder to trade for players if you are sending more offers than you need to. And I think running backs, the further we get into the off season, the further we will get away from points. The closer we get to the draft and the new shiny things, the more these current running backs like Javonte Williams, like Breece Hall, like Najee Harris lose a little bit of their shine, like JT. They're already falling in value, but I think that's when I start to send offers because I don't want a spam trade offer. I want to send a really solid offer for a really good player that I want. And so I try to hit those windows a little bit better than just sending them out randomly. But your league's your league. You hopefully know the players in it better than I do. Well, definitely better than I do, but better than most, because Zach is always telling you to pay attention to your league mates, and so you know to do that. So just an FYI, like I want to target those running backs, the ones I just listed: Breece Hall, Javonte Williams. I think Najee Harris is a really interesting one. And then we've got some lower down, like I think AJ Dillon's somewhat interesting. Kamar Akers even lower, if people forget. But I'm trying to time it so I can just send a good solid offer, not pay through the nose for it. Especially where it's a running back offseason in Dynasty, that's always going to be tricky because running back value can disappear overnight, whereas you can disappoint as a wide receiver and only fall slightly. Like Kadarius Toney, we're all Kadarius Toney is bad, and if you traded for him, it's bad. And sorry, Andrew, to bring this up again, but I was looking at it today, and Kadarius Toney is only like 10 wide receiver spots below the tier of rookie wide receivers who just killed it. Christian Watson, Jahan Dotson, and he's like 20 spots below Jahan Dotson. 10, 15. And that's a fall. Don't get me wrong. He's lost value, and I wasn't in Kadarius Toney, but it's not near as drastic as like Elijah Mitchell or James Robinson. Like, running backs can tank a little bit more easy. You know what I mean? Sorry, I don't know why I was on that. But that's kind of where my mind goes to with this team. It's a really interesting running back team. I want to highlight now the players that you think are better, young as possible, and maybe undervalued, and then try and time it in your leagues. You have to give things people they want for trades, and they want draft picks, and they want young players, and they want whatever they want. Trying to time it with that. And that's where my head would be on this roster. I don't mind rostering Dobbins, and Singletary's fine. I mean, Harris is going to score touchdowns. That's what he does. And Elijah Mitchell, I kind of hope he gets another crack at it, So there's no panic trade here at their value. But I'd be interested in adding to them or moving up or tearing up to those running backs I prefer better if I can find the right timing or the right trade for the person in my league rostering. Oh, sorry. I'm droning on there. Without a Zach or a Russ to scowl at me, I barely keep track of myself. Hey, Christian Watson is a wide receiver 1 next year. He could very well be. He was a top 10 during the second half of the season. Week 12 onwards, he was killing it, and is showing no signs of slowing down. Well, actually, the last 2 weeks he did when Romeo Dubs got back. That kind of goes to my usage concern a little bit. But yeah, I mean, he's easily had one of the better rookie seasons that we've seen lately. But there's a group of wide receivers who kind of did really well this year. And when deciding between them, that's my whole conversation on Twitter. I tend to lean volume. And honestly, I also think obscuring this point is that Burks is right in the middle of them, and everyone that's arguing with me about Kadarius Toney, not maybe you, but everyone that's arguing about the stats that I'm interpreting on Watson, like, Burks is better than him across the debate, no matter which side you take. So, and if you want to target a player in that range, I don't know about you, but my dynasty teams don't have enough to buy all of them. So you kind of have to pick and choose. And Burks that's my main thrust. Like, Watson is good. There's concerns. And I'm fine having him over Pickens and over Dotson. I think that's all very reasonable. But I kind of think it obscures the fact that his concerns are almost as concerning as the Pickens and the Dotson concerns, who's again drafted below a tier of veteran wide receivers, even though it's a similar value range on keep trade cut. And Burks is sitting right there. I think Burks is the guy in that value range as a good, solid, had great rookie season. But yeah, Christian Watson did great. He's going to do great things in the future. Sports Cards Bros. My earliest pick is the 202. Did I miss the first part? I think the 202 would be too low to offer for Eckler, but I think someone could easily do it. I mean, you're probably trying to add a running back at least to that. And again, that's definitely a timing thing. By the time we get a month into this offseason, he's just going to be the old undrafted free agent guy who didn't get nearly enough rushing yards to be a running back. It doesn't matter, but his value might drop there. Right now, he's very much valued higher than that. That's not enough. Would you add to Donovan to get to CD in a 1Q? Yes, I have CD in a different tier than Donovan. I would add a late first easily to go from Devontae to CD, and I'd be comfortable doing that. No problem, buddy. Local liability. I only have 2 4th rounds and no other picks this year, and I don't have much picks to offer to move up. That's okay. What's the question? Yeah, and again, you're not going to go get Bijan Robinson in that situation. You're just not. And it's okay. Like, you've got a solid core of streamable running backs. Devontae's going to take a minute to get back. But when he gets back, I actually think he's going to do well. I do think it's the Adam Harstead heuristic, I think. I think he turned that one into a heuristic. And people underrate the value of modern medicine. We're better at medicine. We just are. So I don't think you're panicking at running back. But explore as much as, and that's what I'm trying to describe. Your team's fine. It's fine. You can explore this off-season value trends, look for windows, and try and grab one of them if you can. But other than that, I think your team's solid. And off-season is sell running back, so if someone offers you a second-round pick for Singletary, definitely take that, or Harris. Mitchell, Javonte, and Dobbins, I'm probably rostering at a second-round pick value, and that's good. That's a pretty solid running back core to start. And your wide receivers are so young and good that you don't really have a timing issue. Even if you don't dominate in 2023, your young wide receivers are still going to be there. You'll get more picks the following season. Yeah, that's what. I guess that helps. I hope that helps. JP Gage. Any advice to make it my team better? I'll try my best. 1 QB, tight end premium, 1.5 tight end premium. Lamar. Is Jay Jets Justin Jefferson? I'm starting to feel I'm reading that wrong. No, it's 1 QB, that is. T. Higgins, Garrett Wilson, Michael Pittman. Again, man, your wide receivers are awesome. And the minute JMO Williams' value goes up, by the way, I think I'm out. Like, if I can get a mid-first round pick, easily. Value. Right now, it's not there. That's why Zach, I think, likes JMO right now, though, because he thinks his value is going to get there. But yeah, anyway. ETN, Harris, AJ Dillon. If your league values ETN the way he's ranked and the way a lot of people do, like as a different kind of top 12, a difference maker in the top 12, like a Kenneth Walker, it's like a top 3 running back right now. I think ETN is a little lower, ADP wise. I will finish that thought. It's like the 14th off the board. He's an early second round pick. I want to investigate ETN trades. And I'm not saying get rid of ETN. He's terrible. No, he's young and he's a solid top 12 running back. Don't get me wrong. But the top 12 landscape at running back is going to change drastically by this time next year. And I want to keep that in mind. So if you can get Najee Harris plus, if you can get Swift plus, you're still keeping that young, good running back, but you're getting a first-round pick this year, next year. It doesn't matter. That's a solid dynasty move. I think because there are so few good young running backs who did good this year, they're getting slightly overvalued. And I think this offseason, the value is going to fall in general. And then the draft's going to happen. And some of those young running backs are going to filter into the top 12 before they play. And then the season's going to happen. And some of those young running backs that just got drafted are going to do great, including Bijan Robinson. And that's going to change the landscape. And ETN's value's okay right now on last month's ADP. I think it's going to go up as the offseason goes on. So I'm interested in not investigating. It's not like you start a detective agency and hire a secretary and dig through the trash of your league mates. And putting them on the trade block does nothing. But if you think there's a wide receiver, a tight end, or a running back, again, of the course of the offseason that you really like and you think people are sleeping on and is young and is good and is proven, I send him ETN plus. I want that guy plus for ETN. That's the player that stands out to me on this roster. Everyone else their value's fine. I don't see many changes happening this offseason. Andrews, I'm assuming that tight end is. Your team's great. Don't in the same way. Oh, well, you can't trade for Najee Harris. You've got Najee Harris. Point stands. So I think you hold pat. ETN's the only one who I fear his value might fall by this time next year. But don't panic trade him. I never want to make panic trade Travis Etienne. He's going to finish as a top 12 running back, and you'll be like, but yeah, I already said he wouldn't. No, I think that's what we should expect for him. But I think his value is going to drop because there's going to be better. I don't think he's that JT, that CMC, Barkley, and we have some more of those guys coming. Pitts and Greg DeLuche. I think your tight end position is enviable for most rosters. And honestly, so is your wide receiver position. And in a 1 QB to have Lamar Jackson, running back's all you need to worry about. And you have ETN and Harris. Definitely don't need to make moves. ETN's the only one that stands out that you might be able to squeak a little more out than you should have. You should be able to. And I just keep that in mind through the offseason. Or you're going to be starting ETN next year, and that's fine. Philip, 10-team 1QB suggestions. Field, Swift, Brees Hall, JT, AJ Dillon, Devontae Smith, Drake London, Treylon Burr. Guys, you make me so jealous with your wide receivers. You really do. Garrett Wilson, Bateman, Mark Andrews. Suggestions. I think the Travis Kelce suggestion is just solid for every team if his value falls the way we described earlier, if you can get him. But with Andrews, you definitely don't need to. You got the 4 and the 5. I was going to say try and do something at quarterback, but I don't think you need to on a 1 QB. 10 team, maybe you do. I don't mean to stare at you. Yeah, let's try and wait until the Fields drama settles down. And try and get Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. All is a solid move. Or Jalen Hurts. All is a solid move in 1 QB. I don't think Fields is that. And I think... But he's fine. Again, don't panic trade. But if I could get Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, and that level of quarterback in a 1 QB league, it's somewhat undervalued in 1 QB leagues, as Zach always says. Don't give up a first with Fields to do that in a 1 QB league. Just a little plus. If you can add who you got. An AJ Dillon to Fields and get one of those guys, I think it's worth it. Outside of that, the 4 and 5 are solid picks this year. You're probably looking at wide receivers. And your wide receivers are pretty good, not to predict the draft. I'm wondering if you can add the 4 to Swift and go get the 101. Or the 5 to Swift and go get the 101. That's kind of where I go. You want studs, it's 10-team 1 QB league. And the 101 is one of those. So yeah, that's my main suggestion here. Seriously, this is a great team, man. Thanks for the content. No problem, Philip. Thanks for being a better Dynasty player. Like, this is an awesome team to make. You clearly know what you're doing. Hank J, Dalvin Cook trade value. Second round pick. He's one of those players where he's probably better on your roster than he is in trade, but in leagues where your team needs to go for value, yeah, you trade him for a second. Also, I traded away Antonio Gibson and Kadarius Toney for a second-round pick. That seems low for both combined or individually, but yeah, I would do that too. Early in the season, I actually don't hate myself for it. I don't. Never let Dynasty make you hate yourself. We joke, but it's fun, right? Just keep it fun. I care about you more than literally all my Dynasty teams, to be clear, just because you're a person. And I actually don't hate myself for it. Love the show. I really appreciate that, Hank. Thanks very much for checking us out and spending time with us. Thanks, man. You're a legend. I thought I was going to make a PA Howdy legend there. There once was a man who sat up till 1 a.m. talking about Dynasty. No, I appreciate you, man. Thanks very much. Justin Adams, I have picks 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 in the draft. You're very close to doing something that I call the J Mike Invitational. J Mike Check on Twitter, awesome guy, nicest guy I ever met in the world. Once traded for every pick in the first round, and it was the 2021 class. His team is still very, very good. He made a whole event out of it. It was awesome. My only running back is really ETN. Again, solid running back. So you're fine. He has Waddle, St. Brown, Drake London, Jameson Williams, and I said what I said. And Treylon Burks. I love it. Should I draft running backs in the draft or trade for one? Draft the best players, man. I mean, I'm not just memeing. Never let what you have on your... Don't draft a running back because you need a running back. If the best running back is Bishop Sankey and you need running backs, you just take the wide receivers. Yeah, please. If anyone takes anything away from all the streams we've done, it's that. In a rookie draft, you draft the best player. It does not matter an itsy-witsy, teeny-weeny little bit what you've got on your roster. You can have nothing. And there's a quarterback on the board in a super flex league. If that quarterback is Baker Mayfield, you don't take it. It's not doing anything for you. You take the difference-making running back and wide receiver because more people are going to be more interested in trading more for that than the thing that you needed on your roster. That's the basic logic. Having said that, the 101 is a running back this year, so you're going to get a running back if you don't trade at least. The 2 is questionable in the Superflex. Doesn't say. But if there's a super flex, that's probably a quarterback. If not, it's going to be up for debate. I think there's a clear 2-1 right now. And then, like Zach said, and Outhouse said it as well, there's a 4-player tier in non-super flex. In Superflex, there's a top 3 with Bijan Robinson and at least 2 quarterbacks. Then there's a 4-player tier at skill positions, and then we go into I don't know this draft class well at all. But I think there's a clear tier of players, and you're going to get some running backs with those picks. This is going to be more of a running back class, especially early, than a wide receiver one. There's going to be good wide receivers. Don't let it slip your mind. JSN looks really good, and apparently there's a guy that looks even better. And there's going to be some good second-round picks this year, too, is my inclination. But there's going to be running backs in this draft class, so you're not going to have to push the issue, I think. But again, don't draft for need. Trade for need. 1 QB, 12 teams. That's actually kind of what I actually assumed Superflex and 12-team, but I kind of went through it both ways. So. Logan Miller. I don't think we've spoken before, man. Thanks for showing up. 10-team, 1 QB suggestions. Normally I have 2 friends, by the way. Just saying. Normally it's better. 1 QB league. 1 QB, so that's fine. Javonte. Ken Walker. Mixon. Waddle, Wilson, Ayuk. Deontay, London, and another Jameson Williams. Nice. Tight end. Tight end is your need. If there is such a thing, then Njoku's solid. Don't get me wrong. He has a 106. That's cool. My suggestion would be to trade Ken Walker, like I said a few times, as a top 3 running back, not just because. But at that value, I think there's strong reason to believe you can improve your team more than just keeping Ken Walker. If you can't, you just keep Ken Walker. He's a great running back. He's going to be good. He rushes the ball literally almost like no one else. I think Nick Chubb's better, but whatever. So, yeah, Ken Walker stands out to me as someone I would want to trade away as current value. Again, you're looking for Najee Harris, Breece Hall, plus a big thing like a first. Then I'm interested in trading Ken Walker. Otherwise, you got Ken Walker. Don't be sad. Tight end's the other thing that sticks out to me here. If you can add your second in Njoku and go get Kelsey because everyone thinks he's too old, or Andrews or Kittle, that would improve your team greatly. The 106, you don't have to add that to Njoku to get any of those tight ends. So you're probably making a pick at 106 unless someone offers you something insane. You can also add the 106 to Ken Walker and go try and get the 101. I actually think that'd be a fairly reasonable offer considering how highly ranked Ken Walker is and how just gosh darn awesome he is at being a running back. Don't have to do any of that, but those are the thoughts that come across my mind when I look at your team because it's a really good team, man. It's solid. I love having Deontay right now, by the way. Top 24 wide receiver probably is our expectation. Same with Ayuk, but I think people are bored with it, and that's just silly. They're going to be good for a minute. Justin Adams, thanks, man. Yeah, it was a startup, and nobody valued picks year 1. Classic mistake. No, I probably wouldn't have spotted it. I love players. I always avoid. I trade my picks way too freely. It's an area I have to work on. So I went 0 running back and got their picks. And actually, Justin, you're actually literally saying something I definitely probably don't emphasize enough. And Outhouse was talking about earlier. Got to adjust to a draft, especially a startup draft in a dynasty league. And you've read it perfectly. Good job, man. Awesome. Logan Miller, new here. Just found you on my Explorer. Oh, wow. That's awesome. I really appreciate it, man. I didn't know we were even big enough to turn up in something like that. Perfect. Thanks for the advice. No problem, Logan. Really appreciate it. And I'm at the end. So I assume everyone went to bed like normal people. Again, we stream every Wednesday at 9:30 on season, off season, and point season, non-point season. Talk about Dynasty for about 3 hours straight. Tonight it's been 4 because I feel like keeping going. You all were pretty fun to talk to. So even though I lost my co-hosts, I wanted to keep it going. Really appreciate you guys checking us out. Now football's finished and we're still all having fun playing fantasy football. That's a good thing about Dynasty, man. I really appreciate all of you. Thanks very much. And we'll see you again next week, 9:30. Come check us out. Ask us any questions you like. We do try to get to all of them. Even if it just ends up with me looking like this. I'm trying to explain myself as best I can. But thanks very much, and I'll see you again next week.